has now made that cross over into South Carolina, but it's nothing to celebrate because now we are officially, all of us now, on the backside of this storm, this beast of a storm, which continues to be well over 400 miles in diameter. And of course, we've got a long field of tropical storm force winds, so there's a long way to go here. Maybe we're at halftime at this point. I hope we are, because it has certainly been a very long haul. But now on this backside of the storm, we may be getting a little bit less in the wind, but we're going to be trading even heavier rainfall, and of course the potential, a growing potential probably, that we're going to have at least the potential of some isolated tornadoes. This band right here definitely showing some indications of rotation, but maybe even more importantly, this band has been just dumping tremendous amounts of rain. I just checked, Morehead City has now received over 23 inches of rain. So this is absolutely devastating, folks. So just off to our north, some of these outer bands just absolutely pummeling, and there's actually a flash flood emergency for some of the counties just off to our north. I know Carteret, I believe Pamlico, under flash flood emergencies. That's a step above the flash flood warnings, which are in effect for all of southeastern North Carolina. Definitely a life-threatening situation. And the bad news is, as that center continues to drift more into South Carolina, some of these heavier feeder bands we think are going to drift to the south. So it looks like an increasing potential of flooding and maybe an increasing potential of tornadoes. Not the news we want to hear in the coming hours. As we take a look at First Alert Digital Doppler, even now some of the feeder bands back in our area getting a little more active. Not what we want to see right now, but heavy rain currently in Bladen County, just north of Bladenburg. You can see around Elizabethtown, White Lake, and then over towards Ivanhoe in Sampson County. The rain really coming down at a pretty good clip. Probably some good soaking, maybe one inch plus rainfall rates per hour in some of these bands. Figure 8 Island, Wrightsville Beach getting slammed right now, and some of that extending. Again, these bands not nearly as strong as those bands just off to our north. Little bit of maybe some rotation in some of these bands right here, but probably not tornadic. But we still need to, of course, keep an eye on that. It will be a little more likely further to north. This is the band that really means business, though. This band you can see just to the south of Emerald Isle, just to the north of Jacksonville and Kent. A very large band, and it's getting kind of sitting over the same area for a very long period of time. And this is what I'm afraid is going to happen around here tomorrow. Maybe not everybody sees 15 or 20 inches of rain, but almost surely one of these type of rain bands will set up over somebody in southeastern North Carolina, and somebody is definitely going to pick up a lot of rain in a very short period of time tomorrow. Not to mention the tornado threat will be on the rise. So you would think with the storm pulling away, it would be all good news. Unfortunately, that is not the case tonight with now Tropical Storm Florence. It's time things out now with our hour-by-hour forecast model. I believe I have this model going in some 6-hour increments here, and you can see the storm continuing to drift a little bit further into South Carolina, but there's that flow. You can see those nasty tropical feeder bands continuing to pull into the area. These feeder bands sometimes 2-3 inches of rain per hour, just tremendous rainfall rates. And more flash flood warnings. I think that's a given at this point. Hopefully we can avoid a flash flood emergency like we've seen a little bit further to the north tonight, but I'm concerned that might be the type of thing we're dealing with tomorrow, not to mention the increasing tornado threat. It just goes on and on. And remember, at the same time, we still have that southeasterly wind, so the storm surge probably getting a little bit better, but certainly not going away. We're still looking maybe at another nasty high tide cycle tomorrow afternoon in downtown Wilmington along the Cape Fear River. More flooding in Carolina Beach as that onshore onslaught continues. Wrightsville Beach, Surf City, north to Upsall Beach, same thing going on with that wave action, with that water piling up along the coast. And then as we head into, now you would hope by Sunday things would be looking better. This is what the map looks like. 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. Look at that. More tropical feeder bands feeding right into southeastern North Carolina. Yes, I'm afraid many of us are going to see possibly another 10, 12, maybe even 15 or 20 inches of rain if we're on the wrong side of some tropical feeder bands. That's just the reality of the situation we face. Now by Sunday morning, the center of the storm is probably somewhere over here in western South Carolina, but the onslaught of the onshore flow, the onslaught of the tropical feeder bands, unfortunately, is going to continue. Maybe as we head towards Sunday afternoon and Sunday night, finally, there's some evidence that things may begin to quiet down. But it may be seriously Sunday afternoon or Sunday night. I know it's another 48 hours, but the reality is we may be in this another 48 hours in some shape or form with these tropical feeder bands. Tornado warnings, you can see, look at this. This is what we're talking about. Looks like a tornado warning has been issued just to the north of Jacksonville. So there we go. Some of those feeder bands just to the north, that nasty feeder band just to the north of Jacksonville, definitely having some rotation. And remember, as these feeder bands continue to funnel to the south, we will have better opportunities for some quick spin-up tornadoes as well. So another danger that we're talking about. This is one of our in-house computer models. Now, it is starting off showing 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, so we'll go with 0 on that. But check this out. Running this map from right now all the way through Monday morning, and look at this. Model is picking up additional, this is additional 10, 12, 15 inches of rain on top of what we've already seen. And obviously, if you get on the wrong end of a feeder band, potentially 20 inches or more of rain. Again, just the reality of what we're facing. And we've talked about the storm surge issue, how the estuaries and all the drainage areas are going to back up because of that onshore flow. So you dump a bunch of rain in an area, basically you've got an overflowing bathtub, then you're going to stop up the drain. Remember, if you get a bunch of water, you need to drain it out. Well, we're going to get a bunch of water, overflowing water, across all of southeastern North Carolina. Then you're going to have that onshore flow. And guess what's going to happen? The water is going to back up. It's going to be just like a bathtub that's stopped up, it's overflowing, and water is just going to go in places it normally does not go. And the reality is we're probably facing flooding in places that we wouldn't normally see it. So please, 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 as we head into the weekend, pay attention to any flash flood warnings. And hopefully that doesn't happen, but a flash flood emergency not out of this realm of possibility. Storm surge warnings, they continue along the coast. It is true the hurricane warnings have now expired, been replaced by tropical storm warnings, but the storm surge warnings along the coast, they continue as that onslaught will continue probably for another 36 to 48 hours. Fran, John?
All right, thanks so much, Eric. We're going to go now to Brad Myers, who's in our digital studio. He has Tom Collins on the telephone.
Yeah, the Pender County Emergency Management Director. We talked to him a couple of times. Let's get an update on how things look in the county and along those beaches. What's he saying, Brad?
Yeah, guys, I have him on the phone with me right now. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I know it's been a long day for you and everyone up there. First off, just tell me, I guess you guys just got out of a meeting?
Yes, sir, we had a little planning meeting, start looking at what our operations are going to be tomorrow, look at resource requirements and what we need to bring in. You know, we're looking at a little bit of everything from feeding operations to generator requirements. We're having we have no power in the county where all of our shelters are on generator, and some of our generators are failing. So, it's just issues that you deal with, but to know that this doesn't end. We're always out here working these issues. All of our emergency services are engaged, and we know we're going to be in this for a long duration. So, hopefully that we don't, wear everyone out. And so we look at pulling resources in to backfill us, to help us with helping us manage this event, because it seems like it's just hanging around forever. But to protect our citizens and try to provide the best possible way that we can. It's not saying that we do everything right, and but we're also strapped for resources, and we got a lot of counties engaged here. And this we just got word now that they've lost power as far up as Durham. So
Wow.
I didn't know it got that far yet, because to be honest with you, I ain't had a chance to even look at TV. But we have a lot of issues. We've got special needs issues that we work, and we've been able to accomplish a lot of our missions. So we still have missions that we're trying to run with the amount of resources that we have. We've got crews coming in tomorrow to what we call a debris push, to push just to open up our roadways. We have a lot of trees down. We have a lot of power lines down. So clearing these roads for emergency crews is very critical. We want to try to get back into operations, because it's still too dangerous to get out here and run fire trucks and EMS trucks. And we understand, and when we get a little lull in it, in the weather, we try to run missions and try to, our most critical missions that we can run. We even, I just got word a while ago that one of our, I think we totaled an EMS unit. So,
Is everybody okay?
Oh yeah, no, none of our people were hurt, but you lose a resource. So we do have other assets coming in from across the state, other states, And this is just people's got to understand, and all of our citizens have got to understand, not just Pender County citizens, which that I try to help and be responsible for, and all of our elected officials and all our emergency services that we have that work up here every day. But we're not the only county. New Hanover County impacted tremendously, Brunswick County, Onslow County, and it all up and down our coast. So you can imagine just the amount of resources we got to have to manage, just to try to protect our people, make sure we don't lose any more people. And we unfortunately, we did have a loss of life, but it wasn't. It was more of a medical issue, but we couldn't get to them. That's just what we've been trying to preach through this whole event. Even beforehand, you got to prepare and to be ready, because we could be without power here for some time now, and it's going to take a while to get everything back up and get power back up. So if you remember, friend, in some places it was 2 and 3 weeks before power was back, and that's very possible what we could see in this event. So just please try to be patient, and we're going to try to get things restored as quickly as possible. I know that the power companies are poised to get the resources in here and get the power back on, and that is one of our critical missions, to get it done. And that's why we have contracts in place to get the roads open, which not only does it help emergency services, it gets the power companies in here that they can get the power back on. But just be patient with everyone, including our power companies, and just understand that it's going to be a while. Hopefully, that we get back to normal. It's just things we're going to be dealing with in a few days. We keep getting the rain that we're forecasted to get, then we're going to have a flood that we got to deal with here in a few days. So it is, best of my knowledge, I think it's still forecasted to be greater than Floyd, and they're talking about 25 feet. So that's 3 feet above what Floyd was. So we don't know what all that's going to flood yet. So it could be tremendous more than what Floyd was. So
Sure,
I know we've got some people out of harm's way, but this is what we're facing. So just be prepared, and things will hopefully get back to normal for soon.
Talk to me about, as somebody who grew up enjoying, since I was a kid, enjoying Topsail beaches. Tell me about the coastal area. Have you guys got to tour that at all, or any of the damage?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, it's surprising that Topsail Beach fared fairly well. Now tonight, high tide, I'm not sure, but we're still getting that surge. But surprisingly, during the day, in Topsail Beach is what we call an engineered beach. So the dunes helped, and so there was not a whole lot of breaches. So not too bad. And Surf City was not too bad. But now this storm's still out there, and it's still pounding surf, and that could change by tomorrow. But surprisingly, not extremely bad, but not a whole. I just know there was places that you couldn't get to, so I'm not sure on exactly how much. I know our people tried to get in some areas, and the beaches, and their representatives too. But I know that from early estimates were that it was not very bad, but it's not over with.
Yes, sir. We got to keep that in mind.
Got to keep that in mind, and but they're on pretty much on a 24-hour curfew, so people are not going to be allowed back in. And this is something else to think about too. People that are displaced right now, a lot of people were moved inland, and so we need to think about when do we want when do we want to allow people to come back? We definitely got to get roads cleared. So this is going to take a little time. You might not be able to come back as quick as, just remember Floyd, how long it took to evacuate, and then look how long it took to get back and to get back to your home. So it be prepared. It could be weeks before you're able to get back home in some places. So even in New Hanover and Brunswick and Onslow.
I think that's the most telling part about this storm too, is folks like yourself who've been through, countless storms like this, are even saying this one's different. This one's different.
Well, yes, sir. They're all really different. All of them have different characteristics, and some are windstorms, some are rainstorms, some are storm surge storms. So, but I think this one has a combination of all of them. But yeah, they're all different. They all have different aspects to it. But the thing about it is, we're a coastal county. We live in a coastal area. We're always going to have a hurricane sometime in our lifetime. Hopefully not. The next one will be 20 years, but we can't sort of look at that. You can't get in that and be complacent. There's always that chance. And after this, I think some people will probably reevaluate about coming here. But hopefully, it's if we can bounce back and get things back to normalcy and normal life, and we can bounce back. It's just how we manage it, how we're going to do this, and but when we do build back and when we do put things back, we just need to make sure we think how we do it, and we put back in a way that it will allow us to that we don't have the losses like we have. So it's a lot of it depends on what we can afford. But right now, what we want to concentrate on is make sure that everyone's safe. We're going to be inconvenienced. That this is going to not just be. This is everyone, including the media. I mean, you're putting just as many hours into this thing, and I know you might not be out. I worry about some of you out there in the rain and the trees, because you can get hurt just like we can. But you put a long hours in, because what this does, it allows us to put the word out to the public, and but with our media, say back when Fran hit, we didn't have the social media like we have now, so we get a lot of instantaneous news that we didn't used to have before. So we got to learn. We've learned how to adapt to that. So
I think we all have. Or at least are learning.
Yeah. Some good, some bad, but it's just like anything you feed into it, you got to feed it the right information. So that's what we want to do. We want to get that right information out to where, and we know that is a possibility. There's going to have to be feeding operations. People have to eat. And not only that, to think about is going back to work. Businesses are shut down right now. Look what that does economically to this area. So, how we gonna feed our families? How we gonna fix our homes, and you're displaced, so you're not working. So, we gotta make sure we help our citizens. So this is where people come from all over, because they know. They've been through it. They know what we're going through with. They're going to come in here and help us. So just know that help's on the way. Things are, we're going to be hectic and chaotic and for a little while, but eventually it'll get back to normal.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Please rest up, and we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing up there. Stay safe, And just know that the second the beaches open back up, me and my family will be one of the first to cross that swing bridge.
That's right, and I'm going to be under an umbrella somewhere.
Well, sounds good. Again, Tom Collins, Pender County Emergency Services Director. Sir, thank you again.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Again, John and Fran, one of the things that jumps out to me that he was saying early on in that interview, that they had a loss of life. And again, it was a medical issue and they just couldn't get there. It's heartbreaking to hear that stuff. And I'm sure it's, you know, it's one of those things that we report and it sticks with us. But those are the guys that went there. Those are the guys that met with the families, and you can only imagine how that sticks with them. And so the fact that they continue to come back and do the work that they do, it kind of gives you chill bumps that those guys are out there doing it. And of course, we salute them and everybody out there.
Oh, Brad, you are so right. So well said. I mean, I think sometimes we, let's be honest, take them for granted. And then we have situations like the storm, and it puts it into perspective just how important they are and the role that they play in our community. It's
Without
amazing.
a doubt. Yeah, and then I did also want to point out too that you know, they talked about a total to EMS and everything. That to me, if I had to guess, would probably be more of them trying to do whatever they can, putting themselves in dangerous positions and their vehicles and equipment to try to reach some of those folks. So again, you know, it's one thing for him to say that we report on it and everything, but those are the guys that are really going out there and putting their lives on the line.
They really do.
All right, Brad, good interview. I'm glad to hear from, and also good to hear from Tom that that Topsail Beach did better than he expected to. We've had some people talk to us. We've shown some video here in the last 40 minutes or so from Hampstead, but that's got to be good news for everybody up that way. Now, there's still a while to go, and there's still some, we put the radar up a second ago that showing some of those bands coming through again still. So there's still some of the storm left, but to know that it has done well so far has got to be a positive for all those folks along the Pender County beaches.
Well, I mean, given the way we were talking at the onset of this storm and the potential for disaster at Topsail Beach, you're absolutely right. They've got to be breathing a sigh of relief. Now, it's not over, but
small victories.
We're almost there.
Yeah, small victories.
Are we halfway there, Kelly?
Just about, yeah. I think we probably have about another 24, maybe 48 hours of this intense rainfall to deal with, and winds too. We're also watching, there's 2 tornado warnings to the north of us. We talked about it earlier, now being on the east side of that storm, the potential for a quick spin-up tornado. The problem is, though, our radar site is out. So, I mean, we're going to do the best we can if we do get a warning. We're keeping close eyes on radar. We have our National Weather Service chat up with our friends out here from our National Weather Service in Wilmington. So lots to monitor tonight, and we'll continue to do that. Am I just doing a weather segment now, or are you guys continuing to?
No, I just had a question for you, and then we're going to show some video, and then we'll come back to you if that's okay.
Yeah, that's
cool. You sure?
I'm sure, girl.
All right, girl. Well, okay, so if you haven't been with us, we've been showing a lot of video of places that were hit by Florence. This is one of them, and I love this picture, not because of the damage. This is damage from the New Hanover County Courthouse, but because of the dog that's so important to the New Hanover County Courthouse. That's Potter, the facility dog. He lives with Ben David, the district attorney. He takes him to work every day. And so what you're seeing is part of the roof of the New Hanover County Courthouse, an historical building. I believe it was built in 1892.
Yeah.
Way back when. Yeah, 1892, at the corner of 3rd and Princess Streets. And there's Potter again. He's so cute. Yeah, so he was out assessing the damage today and did notice that the place that he loves very much, he had to stand there and pose and take a picture.
Yeah, and again, nobody inside. The damage can be rebuilt, but again, some damage to that historic courthouse downtown. Now, again, if you missed this earlier, Jackie Paget posted this picture to the WECT Facebook page. The Dollar Tree store in Leland This is in the same shopping center as the Walmart store, suffering some pretty heavy damage to the front part of the building. No reports of any injuries there, but once again, that's in the Walmart shopping center there, the Dollar Tree store, suffering some pretty major damage there to the front part of the store.
And no reports of any looting there so far at the Dollar General there, but you have to be concerned that that's a possibility because we've had reports of people trying to loot, and obviously this storefront wide open. I'm assuming this was taken a few hours ago. I'm assuming that it's probably boarded up by now, you think? Maybe?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Probably.
All right, so we have a photo now from Sharon Williams to the WECT Facebook page showing damage to the roof of Ruth's Kitchen, a very popular restaurant on Market Street in the Ogden area. It's a relatively small building off of Market Street, but a really popular restaurant. And that's, oh, I hate to see that, really do hate to see that, but that was part of the damage today, the aftermath of Florence, the roof of Ruth's Kitchen blown off. All right, now we go to the Go Gas on Market Street.
Yeah, WECT's Marissa Hundley and Ryan Carresco, as they were driving around. This is in the Ogden area of New Hanover County on Market Street. As you see, several of the awnings blown off, some of the posts still standing, but several of the awnings on the ground coming down during the heaviest of the winds from Hurricane Florence, then at the time, now Tropical Storm Florence. No reports of any injuries here, and as John Smith was saying earlier, he was able to get gas because he pulled into a gas station where it was self-serve.
Right.
And most of the Go gas stations, they have somebody in that booth, so don't know if there was anybody in the booth when this happened, but again, no reports of any injuries happening here from law enforcement or from emergency management, so that's good news in that aspect.
All right, and Raycom's Audrey Bisk updates us now on conditions in Myrtle Beach.
Right now I'm standing on Ocean Boulevard and 21st Avenue North, where you can see behind me the first really big indication of flooding that we are seeing in the Myrtle Beach area. Now, this is a typical low-lying area when we have heavy rain or storms come through our area, but you can see this is a full block along Ocean Boulevard, totally swept over with water coming up above my ankles as I'm just standing in here. A lot of heavy winds with the palm trees blowing behind me, really starting to pick up and feel these conditions out with Tropical Storm Florence right here in the Myrtle Beach area. Reporting for the Raycom News Network, I'm Audrey Bisk.
All right, Florence began to batter Myrtle Beach a few hours ago. A couple of police officers saw an American flag downed, and they decided to do something before it became tattered as well. They went over there and removed it from the pole, decided to take it off.
And then remove the other.
Yeah, and then remove the other one so that the stars and stripes would not be damaged in any way and would not be on the ground where no one wants it to see. So hats off to those officers from the Myrtle Beach Police Department doing what they can to make sure that the country's flag is respectful and not down on the ground during this difficult time.
Video of our sister station WBTV that shot some video around the Wilmington area. If we can take a full look at that, we can see that that's along Water Street that is flooded. That is right along the riverfront, and you can't tell where the river starts and where the walkway begins. It's all submerged in water.
Yeah, former WECT reporter Alex Giles in town reporting now and working for WBTV in Charlotte, and we saw some video shot from up in one of the hotels looking down on Market Street earlier when we could see it overflowing over the Riverwalk. But that video from down on the ground, again, Fran, it's a great point to make. You cannot tell where the river ends and the ground begins because of the overwash there.
Are we going back to Brad?
We are headed back to Brad Myers in the digital studio. An update on some of the conditions in Wrightsville Beach, Brad?
North Carolina.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll get to that here in just a second. You guys were talking about the American flag, and I wanted to pull up. You guys remember the image that we were showing yesterday from the Frying Pan Tower and that flag that was tattered. It eventually ripped off of there. And as he said, typically they get bad storms and the flags can sometimes get a little tattered, but they hang them up, and each one of them tells a story. But I thought it was interesting. Of course, nobody was out there to take it down before it completely ripped off of there, but several reports out tonight that flag retailer Flag and Banner has offered to donate a replacement for those guys. So I thought that was just pretty cool. I do want to get to you now. This is just posted minutes ago from the Wrightsville Beach Police Department. Guys in the control room, I'm going to crank this as much as I can, but you may have to help me out and kind of boost it a little bit if you can. Let's listen in.
Okay, we dried out a little bit. I know nobody could hear Chief House outside, so he's going to go through his notes now. Okay.
All right, good evening. Sorry about that. It was a little wet outside and it kind of got chaotic with the media. But just kind of want to go over what had happened today and kind of what we're planning in the near future. Over the course of the day, we did a lot of preliminary assessments of the town to try to see what kind of damage the town had. We mostly saw small debris, roof shingles sitting in the road, limbs, that type of thing. Not a lot of big debris. Mostly what we saw, we did see a couple of structures that had some roofing damage. Our Parks and Rec building was one of them. The roof was partly torn off. Not the Fran Russ Center, but the other buildings. We had a few large trees down. There wasn't a lot of them. There were a couple. And then there was a couple of live oaks that we saw that actually was split in half, and we're probably going to lose those. But for the most part, we've been exceptionally fortunate. There wasn't the damage that we thought we were going to have. We know that the eye went directly over us, and that had a lot to do with talking to meteorologists why we had less damage than people north of us and south of us. But at 12:03, we did have our high tide, and when we did, there was definitely some flooding. We were on the beach at one point and there was almost no flooding, and then we went off and about 30 minutes later it had risen about 3 feet in like 30 minutes. We went out, but for the most part on the beach it was only about 6 to 8 inches. There were some places that were probably closer to a foot, maybe a little bit more, but it wasn't too bad. For the most part, we're looking down the road, and it was like people's yards. It was like actually in the road, it wasn't up in the yard. Or near their house. Other places, they had their garages, and it was in where probably, so you would have some maybe where your garage would be, but it wasn't too bad. That was about noon today. Tomorrow morning, the town officials are all going to go out and we're going to do another evaluation of the town. We're going to look at the damage, and the big thing we're looking to do is to try to get some of our systems back online. We don't know how long that will take. It's been many years since we had to do a total shutdown, so we're looking to get those back up. So again, residents, we ask you to be patient with us while we're doing it. We're really trying to, as quickly as we can, restore the town. But it's probably going to be into early next week before everybody's going to be able to come back. So I just wanted to let you know. The big thing that we want to do is make sure that everyone's safe when they do come back. This is all about life safety. We're not trying to keep people from getting to the beach. Trust me, I want to get back to my home just like everyone else does. So our hope is to really get that done by the early part of the week, but that's all going to depend on the damage we have tonight. There's pretty big winds that we didn't expect. There's also another high tide, so that'll be coming. So we don't know what that's going to do. We think it's going to be less than before. However, what we really want to do is make sure everybody's safe when they get back. So with that said, we are going to have another briefing at 9 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully it wouldn't be as big of a mess as it was tonight, but just want to send this out to everybody so they can hear actually what was said during that news conference. Thank you. Have a great night. Be safe.
Thank you.
So there you go. Big kudos to them for doing those. They've been posting those. If you're interested in Wrightsville Beach and kind of getting those updates, you can catch those on Wrightsville Beach Police Department. He just talked about the high tide kind of moving in. I just pulled up my tidal app. About 12:17, it looks like, for Wrightsville Beach, another high tide moving in. So that is a big concern, as our meteorologists have been telling us all night. You know, with the tide comes back, then obviously you might have to worry about some of that storm surge. Some of the notes just from that press conference, small debris, not a lot of big. The Parks and Rec building there in Wrightsville Beach, roof partially torn off. Live oak split, but as he said, exceptionally fortunate, to use his words, because the eye went directly over Wrightsville Beach, hopefully sparing it quite a bit. So that is some good news, guys, as we continue to monitor some of these social media feeds. We'll throw it back to you at the desk.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brad. And again, some of the other, I was taking notes along with you, and I had that too. I had that circled. Exceptionally fortunate, that was the language he used. Some flooding at high tide, 6 to 8 inches of water, but it had receded when the high tide went down. Again, looking forward here now, what to possibly look at for tomorrow. They're going to try to do another evaluation tomorrow morning, try to work to get their systems online. The bottom line, he said here, is that asking residents to be patient, because it will likely be, he said, his words, Chief Dan House, early next week before everyone is able to come back.
And we suspected that, and
right.
I think that's why they're updating residents, really anxious to get back home. Folks would like to go home tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And definitely, I think they have in their heads that they'd like to get back by Sunday. But Chief House confirming tonight, at the earliest, it's going to be the 1st of next week.
And you know what? It's good that they know that now, rather than, you know,
So they can make preparations.
Yeah, and extend hotel room reservations and everything else like that. Because we've had some people, you know, reaching out to us by email that they've evacuated, and we've talked about this several times, that they're wanting to make that comeback, and they're asking us, you know, you think I'll be able to get back to Leland tomorrow? Do you think I'll be able to get back to, you know, parts of Columbus County tomorrow? And we can't say no, because we don't know. We're not down on every piece of road, but our best guess is it's going to be very difficult to get back, and with a curfew, you know, if it takes a lot longer than you think it's going to, then you could possibly violate a curfew if you're not back directly by 6 o'clock in some of these communities where the curfew starts.
Well, this is one of the things residents should do: prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Right.
They're going to do another assessment tomorrow. It could be that they go tomorrow and say that maybe residents can come back earlier than expected. As he did say, they are exceptionally fortunate. Wrightsville Beach, exceptionally fortunate, and so we'll get another assessment at 9 o'clock in the morning and see where you go from there. But for right now, it looks like the earliest would be the 1st of next week.
All right, speaking of assessments, let's get another assessment on the weather situation with the assessor at large, meteorologist Kelly McGlynn.
Yeah, guys, still looking at those blinding tropical rain bands kind of just pouring down rain in the same areas for a significant amount of time. So with those bands, it just kind of follows the same track, and areas that already are seeing significant rainfall will continue to do so. You see those bands just continuing to spread outward from the center of the storm, which most likely now is in Horry County or northeastern South Carolina right now. We'll get a closer zoom in on southeastern North Carolina. All of our area right now is seeing rainfall. The heavier band right now mostly in northern Bladen County, portions of central Pender County, and also northern central New Hanover County is what it looks like now. But an even stronger band too wraps around there. This is north of Jacksonville, Kenansville area. That will eventually move down towards our way. There were 2 tornado warnings within that band. They should have expired by now. They expired at 9:45. So again, a quick spin up tornado not out of the question. That's what we're going to continue to monitor over the next couple of hours. Here's a closer zoom in on who's seeing the heavier rainfall right now. This is just north of Elizabethtown, areas like White Lake, White Oak, over into Pender County. You're looking at areas, the Rocky Point area, Long Creek, Atkinson, Burgaw seeing some rainfall as well. Closer to the coast, who's already seen significant rainfall and storm surge on top of it, Masonboro, Wrightsboro, Wilmington will probably get in on this heavy rain band soon too as well. Wrightsville Beach probably saw some significant rain from this band as well. And again, this really not moving too quickly, but it is slowly moving to the west at 3 miles per hour. So this is basically just crawling. So if you get stuck under one of these bands, likely going to continue for like the same duration of time. I mean, even the one behind it coming through, once you get through that one band, another one right behind it. And again, these impacts continuing to stay with us probably for at least another 24 to 48 hours, making our way through the weekend, even for parts of Monday too. Could see some of those significant rainfall totals, not to mention the storm surge, the winds we've seen, power outages, trees down. I mean, we said in the beginning this was going to be a catastrophic, life-threatening storm, and it's playing out to be kind of what we forecasted it to be. Here are some of the estimated rainfall totals over the past 24 hours or so. Some spots already picking up significant rainfall amounts. Specifically in Brunswick County, saw some totals upwards of 10, 11, 12, 13, even close to 14 inches of rainfall. It's over a foot of rainfall, and even more to come too. Northern New Hanover County, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches of rainfall. I mean, this is kind of a wide swath of the area. Picked up a significant amount of rainfall today. This going to continue too over the next couple of hours. So it looks like another warning there was issued for we'll take a look at that to see where their tornado warning was indicated for Duplin, Jones, and Lenoir counties till 10:30. That was sometimes we get these little isolated spin-ups with these storms, and again, this is what we've been talking about too. This was just issued for a new tornado warning in Duplin, Jones, and Lenoir County till 10:30. So we'll be watching that band very closely as it approaches our 5 main counties. Again, now a tropical storm. Still, our impacts stay the same, regardless if it's a hurricane or a tropical storm. Again, a very wide storm too. I mean, this expands out to around 500 miles wide. So this is going to take a really long time to exit our area since it's just moving so slowly. We'll go to the next graphic here. On top of what we've already seen so far, wouldn't be surprised to see another 10, maybe 15 inches on top of those spots that have already seen 10, 11, 12, 13 inches of rainfall. So that kind of goes in the forecast where we said probably around 12 to 24 inches on average is what most people will see from these impacts from Florence. And that's kind of what these models are playing out as. So again, significant flash flooding possible overnight tonight too. We'll go into your hour-by-hour forecast too to even highlight the rain continuing. Kind of those reddish greenish lines there are streamlines, so that kind of shows where the center of the storm is. It just looks like it's moving into the tip, kind of near North Myrtle Beach right now, but regardless, all these bands still wrapping around it. So again, all of our counties under the gun for more significant rain, moderate to very heavy rain, those kind of tropical bands that just sit and pour down rain. Moving forward into Saturday morning, again, not moving too much, kind of in the right front quadrant of that storm. Lots of people always ask, what's the right front quadrant? It's kind of the worst area to be in because now we have these onshore winds. We get that southeasterly flow, and that kind of, spruces up the chance for even more storm surge of what we've already seen because these winds continuing to move onshore, just pushing the water further inland. And again, as Brad was talking about before, not only coastal areas could see significant storm surge too. This also includes areas further inland, freshwater flooding. We're talking about lakes, rivers, those estuaries that have nowhere to empty out once they, reach their capacity, reach their crest mark. So this continuing too, not much changing, unfortunately, Saturday into the afternoon. Again, moving Saturday afternoon into your Sunday morning. Starting to get on the tail end of this storm, but still moderate to heavy rainfall. This will be working generally from east to west out of here as it continues to exit our area. But again, not much changing Sunday into Sunday afternoon. Still seeing rainfall amounts adding up and adding up. So again, significant catastrophic flash flood warnings actually continue to issue throughout our area overnight tonight. Hopefully by Monday, things will gradually start to taper off. I think, if anything, I don't want to say this lightly though, I think we've seen the worst of our winds. We recorded 105 mile per hour wind gusts earlier this morning from Florence, and that's the second highest wind gust recorded here in Wilmington. The highest one was 135 miles per hour. That was recorded with Helene. Below Florence, Hazel, and Donna, those are pretty significant storms. So again, not only do we have to say don't focus on the labels, don't focus now that this is just a tropical storm. Lots of people have been saying, oh, it's just a tropical storm. Doesn't matter, guys. Our impacts still stay the same. Harvey, if you guys remember Harvey last year, that name was retired this year because of its devastation to Texas. So, I mean, you see how many inches of rainfall fell there, and that was only considered a tropical storm too eventually once it made landfall in the coast of Texas. So again, We'll continue to monitor these storms. Flooding a big problem moving through the overnight hours, and tomorrow, again, possible spin-up tornado. But again, guys, our radar is out right now, so it's, you know, we're kind of working very closely with our National Weather Service right now in our chat, kind of going to be communicating back and forth to see if a tornado warning will be issued. And not only that, our cameras are out and some sensors are out too. So we're kind of, you know, doing the best we can with what we got. And you know, it's kind of expected with the impacts that we've been seeing so far.
The word impact, and it's had a tremendous impact on quite a few of us.
And it's having an impact on several Raycom stations. Our parent company, Raycom Media, has stations in many areas, like not only our station here in Wilmington, but we have stations in Myrtle Beach, we have stations in Charleston, have stations in Columbia, and all up and down the coast. And the people there are struggling to cover this just like our team is.
Absolutely, and a familiar name, a familiar face around WECT. We're going to hear from her shortly. Brad Myers is in the digital studio with our special guest.
Yeah, exactly, guys. Former WECT reporter Caitlin Stansel. She now works for Live 5 in Charleston, South Carolina, and we're so appreciative that she would talk to us today. Right now, I'm going to pull up the map just to kind of show you. Here's us in Wilmington, just down the coast, here in Georgetown County, South Carolina. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you can, you said that you guys started feeling some of the rain and some of the impacts around noon or 1, but you're kind of in the brunt of it right now.
Yeah, at this point, I think we're seeing the worst of at least what we are getting. It's nothing in comparison to what Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach in that area has seen today, but lots of wind, those big gusts coming through, a lot of rain. We're seeing some localized flooding, but the major impact that we were expecting was from storm surge. We have a lot of barrier islands here, kind of like you guys do, and we were expecting storm surge to, you know, inundate those islands, damage homes and things like that. But actually what's happened with Florence is the winds were actually pushing the ocean out. So you know, we weren't seeing that same kind of, I guess, devastating flooding that we were expecting to see.
We're watching your video right now. I believe we saw National Guard members and some large trucks kind of just rolling through some of the water there. Can you kind of walk us through what we're seeing?
Yeah, it's been all hands on deck, not just for us as reporters covering this storm, but for the first responders out here. Sheriff's offices, police departments, fire rescue, the National Guard is here, the state police are here. So everyone is kind of working together. Earlier today, we had seen where a big tree limb had fallen over half of one of the main thoroughfares through Georgetown County. And almost immediately after we saw it and kind of stopped and got some video of it, one of the deputies came by, turned his blue lights on to make sure people that were, you know, out and about during the storm were aware of it and that they saw it before they got there right on top of it. Some other things that we've seen today, like I said, that localized flooding, nothing too intense, but that was a couple of hours ago when I got that video. So at this point, I can't really speak to what those same roadways look like. But earlier today, you know, 6 inches or so, and that was mostly coming from rainwater, not from the oceanside storm surge kind of situation.
So I guess you guys are kind of in the same boat we are. The biggest problem now with this storm is just how slow it's moving and that we expect days of rain. Is that kind of the concern of officials down there as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I think with this storm, you know, there were so many predictions days out, how big this was going to be, what might happen when it finally hit land. And I think what this has really showed people is that to some extent, you can't predict a storm like this. You know, we were all prepared for Category 3, 4, you know, something a lot more intense, at least down here in our area. And we've been very fortunate that, you know, it was pretty quickly downgraded to a tropical storm, at least for Georgetown County throughout today. I think that I hope that people don't take this, you know, the next time a storm comes around and say that they're not going to evacuate because, hey, they said Hurricane Florence was going to be so bad, you know, and we moved out for that and nothing happened. I hope that that's not the case when the next storm comes up, because you just never really know with these kind of storms what's actually going to happen until they're here.
Yeah, no, that was one of the big thing that Gannon and Eric and Kelly were saying all over the past 2 days is that you really can't focus on those labels. It's really more about the impacts, and we're seeing that with the storm.
Yeah, and I think, these impacts are very different for different areas. We have just been kind of getting those outer bands, the parts of Florence that are kind of falling apart at this point as it's a tropical storm. So the wind gusts that we're seeing are not the same ones that Wilmington saw earlier today, but they are still, pretty significant. They can still bring those limbs down, power lines down, but it has been raining all day, and I think that that's really the next concern now is river levels, that inland kind of flooding, and those localized areas that are already low-lying taking on all this water.
So tell me, what's kind of your game plan for tomorrow? Because obviously, you guys will still be, in the rain and everything.
Yeah, I think for us, at least, because things, aren't quite as bad as we were all expecting, we're not going to continue to be in wall-to-wall coverage like you guys are. We're kind of scaling back a little bit, but we are still going to have at least 2 crews up here in Georgetown County. That's really the most significant area for the Charleston market that is seeing, effects from Florence right now. So that's where we're going to make sure we kind of focus our teams tomorrow is here in Georgetown County. We've talked to, the first responders, and they're all still staying at their stations. They have air mattresses out on the floor, and that's kind of the same situation here. We've been put up in a hotel for the past 2 nights, and it'll be nice tomorrow night to be able to go home. But I know that we are the lucky ones in this storm coverage. We've really been thinking about you guys at WECT, the stations up in Newbern, North Carolina. I mean, just some of that video coming out of y'all's areas takes your breath away to see that.
No doubt. Well, again, we've been speaking with Live 5's Caitlin Stansel. Caitlin, thank you so much. We're going to let you go. I know you have an 11 o'clock live shot to get to, but thank you again for taking the time to talk to us. And I do want to point out, I know you can't hear them because we're doing the phone conversation, but John and Fran, they lit up whenever they tossed to you. And so I just at least wanted to give you a chance to say something because I know we can't let them say back and forth. So.
Yeah, well, I love WCT. That was really, I kind of see that as the start of my career, and John and Fran have been really instrumental in teaching me to be the journalist that I am today. So seeing those videos today and hearing about y'all's experiences and, even hearing about the mother and the infant that were killed today just really broke my heart to see all that happening. Yeah. So love you guys.
Would you please let her know that we love her too and we miss her?
I sure will. Fran said, will you please let her know that we love her too and we miss her?
Yes, miss you all too. I'm thinking about you, praying for you all.
All right. Thank you. Caitlin Stansel, live in Georgetown County, South Carolina. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
John and Fran, I'm going to toss things back to you guys. I am losing IFB right now, so I can't hear you. You guys are cutting in and out, so this is your shot to make fun or call me names or whatever you want to do, because I can't tell.
Okay, so about Brad Myers.
Yeah. Caitlin Stansel has really, truly blossomed as a journalist.
She has.
When she started here, she was a producer and a reporter and has gone on to do great work working for the Raycom station, WMBF in Myrtle Beach, went down there, did weekends, became their main anchor, and is now in Charleston, another Raycom station down there. So can't be happier. We've seen so many people come through here, the Alex Giles, the Caitlin Stansels, and so many of the other, names just kind of, escape me, but the ones you're most proud of are the ones who have gone on to do a lot of really, really good things in this business.
And then we do get to reconnect with them on occasion when we have a big story like today, like the past few days and the days to come. Alex Giles in our newsroom just the other day, and it's great to see these young reporters who come in and then they go on to bigger markets. We're extremely proud of them, and Caitlin is certainly one of those examples. I mean, she was one of those reporters who came here and she was kind of quiet and she was kind of shy, and then she just blossomed into this.
She got the confidence confidence, and that really took her to that next level. She really, truly did.
And she's engaged now, too. So she's got a new job as an anchor. She's getting married. Things are good for her.
Yeah, moving forward, let's hope she is safe when she's covering the storm down there in Charleston Way. All right, we have some new video to show you. Robert Stanley sent this video to us on the WECT Facebook page. He says this is video he shot tonight on westbound, heading away from Wilmington, 7476, as you pass the Highway 17 connector. Look at all the debris on that highway right now.
See, that is scary. That is extremely scary. And
Oh,
you know, I want to
that.
ask Robert
Huge
Stanley,
trees.
so what were you doing out and about? I mean, we appreciate the video, but just kind of curious because it's dangerous, very dangerous. You know, you hit it, there's a section, it's not that bad, it's not that bad, and then boom, look.
Come up on a tree that's,
There you
how
go.
many of those trees are laying down on part of the highway there? And this is another one of those reasons why the curfew is in place. You're driving in the afternoon, you can probably see many of these trees and a lot of this debris, but as Chelsea said during her interview with Brad last hour, it's pitch dark down in Carolina Beach. There are no, there are most places have lost electricity, and that's what I wanted to say too. I wanted to add this earlier. The number of power outages in North Carolina now up to close to 800,000 across this state, and some of the highest totals are from New Hanover County, Brunswick County, Wake County, which was surprising to me, and Carteret County and Onslow County right along the beach. So those are some of the highest outage numbers from the storm so far.
Yeah, I just got a text from my husband who was in Raleigh, and he says he has no power. And I said, that's Wake County. So it is widespread. But I'm looking at this video, John, and thinking, I mean, this destruction is terrible. 7476 is going to be impassable, I think, for a long while.
Look at how
that's going to take
coming over
a
2
long
lanes
time to clean up. It really is.
Wow.
I mean, that's really scary to look at. I'm glad that Robert Stanley shared that with us, but seriously, folks, you, especially at this hour now, it's too late and it's too dangerous. It's all over. It's over both lanes. I mean, that is really scary.
Almost impeding both lanes right there.
You know, and I've got to ask Eric about this because I'm looking at this and that's what I guess I don't understand. When we talk about a Category 3 or 4 storm, hurricane, I expect to see that. When you talk about a Category 1, I'm not sure that that's what I envision. What about you?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that it's not. I agree with you, especially on the strength of the winds alone. Yes, but so much rain had fallen, so and the ground is just so saturated. Those trees, probably the root systems have so much. But yeah, if it was a quote unquote regular Category 1 that was doing what regular Category 1s do and move quickly, then yes, I agree. But the fact that this is, walking along, taking its good old nature time, sauntering through our area, dropping tons of rain, maybe it's not that unusual, and it's a great point to ask about Eric.
Yeah, and I think something else to consider too. This is not just a storm that was a 1 and stayed a 1. This is a storm that ramped up to Category 4 status. You don't just dissipate the wind; it dissipates over time. So I think it's a combination of that, and of course, as you said, John, all the rain that we saw that is contributing to destruction. But regardless of how we got there, you can see exactly from that video why you don't need to be out on the roadways. And can you imagine how dangerous it would be right now if you tried to go out at nighttime? You wouldn't even want to think about it, especially without power around much of the area. It would just be so dangerous. One tad bit of good news. It's not great news, but I guess we'll take anything at this point that we can get. We have revised our storm surge forecast. Now, again, this is going to be in effect probably at least through the high tides tomorrow, but we have cut some of the numbers down just a little bit. We now are predicting a storm surge about 2 to 4 feet from here on along the Brunswick County beaches, so Sunset Beach, Holden Beach, Oak Island, Bald Head Island. 2 to 4 feet of storm surge, of course, particularly still the potential, of course, of some significant impacts, beach erosion, dune erosion, dune breaches, I should say, significant land flooding, and of course along the beach and the intercoastal waterway. Now the east-facing beaches, we still have the surge a little bit higher here, but we've dropped it a little bit down to 3 to 6 feet. Still, as we've been telling you, it only takes 2 feet of storm surge to lift a car. So still significant impacts nevertheless. Curie Beach, Carolina Beach, and Topsail Beach. So, but any good news we've got in a slight reduction of the storm surge is going to be wiped out by the fact we're still expecting an additional 10, 15, maybe even in some cases 20 inches of rainfall. So we keep going back to that bathtub analogy where we've got an overflowing bathtub basically of water across southeastern North Carolina, really not only southeastern North Carolina. Some of the rainfall totals just to our north, Morehead City, over 23 inches of rain. I think I just saw a few minutes ago from the Morehead City chat with the National Weather Service. Newport also over 23 inches of rain. So just astounding amounts of water filling up across all of the Carolinas, and eventually that water's got to drain out. And then, of course, you've got storm surge, just pounding storm surge that's acting like a block. The water's got to drain out, and the storm surge acting like a block. And so eventually what's going to happen is water is going to end up in places we don't expect because of this. So a little bit of good news that the numbers have come down a little bit on the storm surge, but overall the news is not good at all tonight. So take a look at First Alert Digital Doppler. We're starting to see an increased intensity of the rain bands, particularly this rain band right here you can see setting up across northern Bladen County. So Elizabethtown, Garland, and then the rain band extends and actually gets even heavier as you get into Pender County. You can see along Highway 421 absolutely pouring. And there's what you don't want to see, a big heavy rain band sitting up right over the port city. And of course, that's going to really up our rainfall total. So very intense rain. These are probably the rainfall rates in this rain band, 1 to 2 inches per hour. And if that's not enough for you, check out the rain band a little bit further to the north. Look at this rain band. This one's been really tough north of Jacksonville. And of course, this band has really been nasty. It's been just slowly pushing its way to the south throughout the evening hours. But this rain band is dumping 2, 3, and sometimes even cases 4 inches of rain per hour. And that's part of the reason why Morehead City sat under that rain band for quite a while, Newport. And not to mention, there's another threat we've got to talk about. There's actually a tornado warning right now for northern portions of Duplin County up into Lenoir County. This tornado warning in effect until 10:30, and that's what we're talking about, those quick spin-ups. It looks like as the center of the storm begins to pull away, we're getting more into that eastern side of the storm, the side of the storm that really sometimes we get those spin-ups and the tornadoes. So if we don't have enough on our hands already with the storm surge, the flooding rains, we're also going to have to watch out for quick spin-ups. So if anything, the tornado threat is increasing. The wind speeds of the storm coming down. Yes, it is a tropical storm, but the tornado threat is increasing while the rain threat continues to increase as well, and the storm surge threat may be dropping just a little bit. So we're kind of trading different hazards around at this point, but we're really not accomplishing our goal, which is seeing some big improvement. Hour-by-hour forecast model, of course, the center of the storm now over South Carolina and will continue to push to the west, but we're on that northeastern part of the storm, the worst part of the storm, where we continue to see the surge. You can see the winds, the southeasterly winds right into our coastline. And here's the problem. Look at that, 11:30, big heavy feeder band sitting right over southeastern North Carolina. That's probably a 2, 3, 4 inch rain maker per hour sitting right over our area. Let's go through time. Let's advance the map to, I don't know, Sunday morning. Yes, Sunday morning, not Saturday morning, Sunday morning. Look at this. Still heavy feeder bands sitting right over southeastern North Carolina. This is the problem. That's why we're saying many spots 10, 15, 20 inches, not out of the realm of possibility when you consider we've got another 36 hours minimum of these tropical feeder bands feeding right over the area. And that's why the flooding situation, which is already bad, is unfortunately likely to get a lot worse as we head into the weekend. Yeah, the wind situation is getting better, but the flooding situation is going to get much, much worse. Unfortunately, that's probably the reality we're in at this point. Finally, as we head towards Sunday afternoon, maybe if we're lucky, we're starting to see some of the heavier rains finally starting to shift to the west. The center of the storm finally starts to significantly shift to the west probably as we head towards Sunday afternoon. But even still, scattered showers and thunderstorms around. It's just going to be a very slow process improving things as we head through time. 7-day forecast reflects all the things that we're talking about right now. Yes, Florence's impact still very much with us on Saturday. I may even have to say Sunday now. I just said watching Florence. I was trying to be optimistic, but unfortunately the writing is on the wall. Probably at least through Sunday morning, we're still going to have heavy tropical feeder bands continuing to feed into the area. So we'd not be surprised at all, guys, if we're still in wall-to-wall coverage on maybe as late as Sunday morning or maybe even a little bit beyond that. Monday, scattered thunderstorms. Hopefully that's when we're finally beginning to turn the corner. If you're looking for some drier weather, probably the middle part of next week before things really improve in a significant way. We finally got some days with 10 to 20% rain chances Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then the river nightmare begins. We begin watching the rivers, particularly Northeast Cape Fear River, Lumber River, and other area rivers for major flooding. Unfortunately, this disaster is going to go on for a long time, and patience is going to be required.
All right, thank you. And
okay, Eric, thanks.
We have some more viewer photos to share with you. This one from Jeff Schmidt. I think that's
Schimpf, maybe? Yeah, not sure.
Okay, this is in the Springview Estates. Wow. Oh, look at that. That's Springview.
Yeah, Kings Grant area of New Hanover County here. Going through the area and looking at some big homes, or big trees down in homes. But again, at this point, not seeing any fallen on any homes here, so that's good. I mean, again, appears to have fallen in the area away from homes, and so that's a positive anyway.
Well, let's go over the curfews again. Obviously, we're hoping that everyone watching right now is in and staying put. If not, you're probably violating a curfew because the New Hanover County curfew went into effect about 15 minutes ago. In Leland, the curfew started at 6 this evening. It will be lifted at 6 a.m. until further notice. Charlotte, 6 this evening until 6 a.m. Oak Island, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Sunset Beach, 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. And Boiling Spring Lakes, 9 p.m. until 6 a.m.
And we have some other curfews. Let's take you through some of the others in the community. Let's go to Pender County, where a county-wide curfew will be enacted or is in force tonight. It started at 7 o'clock. It will go to 7 tomorrow morning, and that will be in place until further notice. In Burgaw, there's also a daily curfew from 7 to 7 until further notice in that community as well. Wilmington and New Hanover County officials putting curfews in place. This along with the curfews that are already in place in the beach communities in New Hanover County. But the county and city curfews, 10 o'clock at night until 6 in the morning, in effect until further notice there too.
And I think that completes all of our curfews. No, we have one more. Columbus County curfew. Whiteville daily curfew, daily from 6 p.m. until from dawn to dusk indefinitely. Starts at 6 p.m. from dawn to dusk indefinitely. That's for Columbus County. All right, right now you cannot get on or off one of Lowcountry, South Carolina's most popular beach towns.
Yeah, Folly Beach under curfew as well. Raycom's Harv Jacobs tells us not everybody is happy about that being enforced.
We're at the entrance to Folly Beach, where police have set up a checkpoint. You can see it behind me. Only residents are allowed here on the island. Officials fear if it gets too crowded out here and it floods, somebody might get hurt or killed. Most businesses have closed, boarded up, and put out sandbags. However, several bars open today for folks who decide to stay on Folly Beach. Many people told me they're upset the bars will have to close at 9 for the curfew. The curfew will run from 9 p.m. till 7 a.m., and I'm told it'll only be lifted 24 hours after the all clear is given. On Folly Beach, Harv Jacobs for the Raycom News Network.
And rescue efforts are underway to reach the many trapped by rising waters.
NBC's Garrett Hake reports from New Bern, North Carolina, a city that, by the video we've already seen, has had some of the worst damage so far.
An epic storm surge. More than 10 feet of water, overwhelming New Bern. All day, rescues by boats.
I'm going right back.
And massive National Guard vehicles.
Sergeant, what are you seeing in these neighborhoods?
Just absolute total destruction.
First responders got hundreds of calls for help, racing into flooded neighborhoods at first light. Searching door to door for anyone stuck inside.
I've never been so terrified in my entire life. It was horrifying. Just wondering what's going on and where the water's going to go and how high it's going to go and how we are going to get out.
Many families took shelter on second floors and higher, any place dry, trying to survive. It was a long, wet, sleepless night for Will Williams and his wife.
What was it like here overnight?
Woke up water on the floor like this.
Up here?
In the house, like this.
Now a community is waiting for the water to go down, worried to see what damage lies beneath. Garrett Haake, NBC News, New Bern, North Carolina.
Oh, that is really frightening for him to describe how high that water was. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's
It's just
really scary.
Scary, scary, scary on what so many people have gone through so far as the storm is concerned. And Kelly, some of those areas that we were seeing some of the worst video from last night, Morehead City, New Bern, some of those areas up there in Carteret and Craven County, they're still getting rain tonight, which is kind of almost going to be like what we're going to be in the same place tomorrow night from what we've already had, right?
Right, yeah, they were under that flash flood emergency, and their National Weather Service was, preaching to us to get the word out because they were having problems too with their communication issues, because they've been, dealing with this as well. And, I guess this is going to continue throughout the overnight tonight as we head into your Saturday, heading into Sunday, even parts of Monday as well. So again, 24, 48 hours, even more extended than that is what we're looking at for this rainfall. So, we've been saying it since, we've been tracking this for days on out now, really, that this was likely going to be a catastrophic and life-threatening storm. And it's, holding up to its name for sure. We still have a few strong bands on the east side of the storm, one kind of wrapping through our area right now. We'll get a zoom in on that so you can get what, areas are seeing that right now, mostly in northern Bladen County. So, areas like Tar Heel, White Lake, and kind of north of that. But this band kind of extends all the way down now into Pender County. So areas like Long Creek, Rocky Point, Longview, kind of in that band, Castle Hayne. This will likely extend down through Wilmington soon. So here at the station, we could probably hear some of that rain on the rooftop coming down soon. Masonboro Island, likely to see some of this as well. But I think it's a stronger band too. And this has been the band that's sparked up a few tornado warnings too recently. I think there's still one issued, or it's just about to expire at 10:30 or 10:45, I believe, till 10:30 is where that tornado warning is. We'll get to that in just a second. I'll show you where that's located at. But this band, very, very strong. And it's kind of like those tropical bands that are kind of just washouts that when it starts to hit on you, it doesn't really stop because the band kind of follows it where this is going, kind of wrapping around. So areas that start to see this rain are going to continue it because it's kind of like a following procession of just very, very heavy rainfall. Already some areas, we'll get some radar estimated totals of folks who have seen close to a foot of rainfall already in Brunswick County. We're looking at, this is again estimated rainfall amounts of 10, 11, 12, 13 inches. Probably, I wouldn't discount a 14-inch total there. Also going into Columbus County, kind of southern Columbus County, they kind of had to wait a little bit to see any action. I know some folks were saying, where is this? When is it going to come? Not to mention the fact of how slow this was moving, but once it did approach Columbus County, they definitely got significant rainfall, looking at upwards of 9, 10 inches of rainfall. Bladen County, not too bad, but I would say you're looking at totals so far of around maybe 2 to 4 inches. Again, locally higher amounts there. Pender County seeing some significant rainfall totals as well. So really the whole entire area, experiencing significant flooding, not to mention too, we've been talking about it a lot tonight, is the storm surge. So again, not only coastal areas will be experiencing this storm surge, but again, areas inland, the freshwater flooding we've been talking about also. Brad's been doing a good job talking about the storm surge graphic too. And again, now we're on the east side of that storm, so we're going to start to see an onshore flow, especially for those east-facing beaches. So we continue to see the surge go up. Winds will continue to stay pretty gusty. Again, most of our sensors are down, so I can't exactly give you those specific totals right now, but it still looks like winds are sustained at around 30, 40 miles per hour, seeing gusts upwards of 50, 60 miles per hour. Okay, we'll look at that tornado warning now, which again is to the north of us. This is for Duplin, Jones, and Lenoir counties. This lasts until 10:30 tonight. Another kind of problem that we're dealing with too is that our radar went down locally. So we have a composite radar, which I showed you before, but locally we're kind of struggling to get these current conditions. But we're working with our National Weather Service too. They'll keep us informed if we see any quick spinning rotation in the radar and the velocities too. And again, being on the east side of that storm, that's kind of what we can expect, are those quick spin up tornadoes. So here's a wide view now of Florence. Again, even though this is a tropical storm now, impacts will still stay the same. We can't really stress that enough to say, you know, no matter the category, the label of this, our impacts continue to stay the same. You know, approaching the landfall of this storm, which was earlier this morning in Wrightsville Beach at around 7:15 a.m. And, you know, when we were staying here at the station, I know me and Jess and I myself, we got woken up to some of those really gusty winds this morning. We heard them as we were in, you know, portions of the eye wall earlier this morning. Since then, I think things have settled down a little bit, but winds are still going to be a significant impact moving forward over the next couple of days. So I'll walk you through the radar loop there. Again, this storm is huge, really. It extends about 500 miles wide, taking up, you know, most of North and even most of South Carolina, if you can look at it like that. And you can really pick out where those really heavy bands are. We got one and then another one behind it. So it's going to be a long night, and it's going to be probably a long day tomorrow monitoring these tropical rain bands. And again, radar kind of picking up again. This is our hour-by-hour in-house model. I think this may be overdoing it just a touch, but, you know, don't want to completely rule out the chance for an additional 10 to 15 inches of what we've already seen. I showed you that graphic earlier of some of those estimated rainfall totals, and this is in addition to that. So that kind of, you know, falls back to our original forecast, guys, of what we were initially starting with, forecasting around 10 to 24 inches of rainfall across the entire area, so 1 to 2 feet, and locally higher amounts too are possible. Again, what we've been saying, depending on where those heavier rain bands fall. And again, this thing is just, you know, crawling, moving at 3 miles per hour right now, so it's literally just moving so slow that this isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon. Usually we have a stirring current in the upper atmosphere to kind of move this somewhere, or something to take it, you know, where it is now, but there's nothing really, you know, steering this anywhere. We had a big ridge of high pressure which kind of directed it our way, but now that it's made a landfall, it's kind of just stuck in that same spot. And we've talked about rainfall totals. You guys have talked about significant flooding, and we've seen those pictures that have been sent in from our reporters out in the field. And, you know, we're continuing to do our best here, giving you guys the most up-to-date information. We'll quickly walk through the hour-by-hour forecast model, kind of just showing you again, not much changing. This is 8 a.m. Saturday. Those green and bluish lines right there are called streamlines, so you can kind of see where it's wrapping around kind of south of North Myrtle Beach. That's where the center of the storm is. Again, so we're on the east side of that storm, and that's where you can see that onshore flow for all of our actually really east and south facing beaches, seeing that onshore flow. And again, tide cycles will continue to increase the threat for storm surge, not only along the coast, but also areas further inland. Yellow and red colors that you're seeing on the map right now indicate moderate to even heavy rainfall. So again, this is not changing much. Here we go into Sunday. This slowly starts to inch out. So we'll start to see a clearing mostly from east to west as this moves, or actually crawls towards the west at 3 miles per hour. And by Sunday, things will start to lift up a little bit. Sunday now we're going into the afternoon, early Monday. We'll probably see some lingering, maybe late rain showers, but things will finally start to settle down Monday. So again, as we were saying, we got, you know, at least 24 to 48 hours left of these impacts to handle.
All right, thanks, Kelly. We're going to check in now with Chelsea Donovan, who's been bracing the wind, the rain, the floodwaters, you name it, at Carolina Beach. Yeah. She's been bracing it all.
I'm Chelsea Donovan, still here in Carolina Beach as we are now at the dusk hour, still seeing those tropical storm or subtropical storm force winds courtesy of Florence. Good news is this is the main thoroughfare here in Carolina Beach, Lake Park Boulevard, largely spared, very minimal damage, just some signs down, some down power lines in some of the neighborhoods, traps, snap tree branches, things of that nature. That's a good thing. Of course, the power is out. Did go out about 12 hours ago during the height of Hurricane Florence, and that's what will remain for quite some time. Duke Energy is not going to deploy those folks to restore power until these conditions, these wind gusts and rains dissipate, and that is for safety. We are still under a 24-hour curfew here in Carolina Beach as well as Curry Beach. That means you do not need to go out riding around assessing the damage. Want to talk about a good casualty, a casualty that's not good for Carolina Beach, and that is the Carolina Beach North Fishing Pier. The end of that pier did come off. That is a pier that was damaged in Hurricane Fran in the late 1990s, and it has taken another direct hit in this storm. Good news is, though, Curry Beach Fishing Pier, little bit of damage, not much though. The big story, though, continues to be Tropical Storm Florence is still wreaking havoc here with heavy wind and rain, and we can expect that as she continues to meander at a pedestrian rate here in Pleasure Island. Back to you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Done by battery light at this point in time, right? People are riding out the hurricane across parts of the Carolinas, and you know, from one part of the state to the other, many have found refuge in the same place.
That would be the Waffle House. You know, they really don't like to close.
No, they don't.
Under any circumstances.
No, they don't.
And there are lots of folks who are very appreciative of that. All right, so in Summerville, South Carolina, a Waffle House open.
There's typically one place that stays open in rain, wind, snow, shine, and even a hurricane. And that is the one place that is open to eat in Summerville. And I wasn't the only one taking advantage.
We do hurricanes, we do snowstorms, whatever, we're open.
Waffle houses all over the Low Country were packed.
It was from the jukebox all the way outside.
With those just trying to find a hot meal.
Well, they have good food, and plus it's open, so why not?
With many people saying that as long as Waffle House is open, they know the storm must not be that bad.
We decided that we needed to have something to eat, and Waffle House just happened to be right down the street, so we came here to get something, and we're riding the storm out.
One Myrtle Beach evacuee even celebrated her 21st birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
With her favorite breakfast.
Who doesn't like waffles? And bacon.
The Sangaree Waffle House location hostess says that they expect to serve thousands of waffles just this weekend alone. All the Waffle House locations that I reached out to say that they plan on staying open for the duration of Florence. So if you're looking for a hot meal, then Waffle House is your place. In Summerville, I'm Brooke Griffin, Live 5 News.
All right, here's some video that we're going to show you from Fayetteville, cleanup video from our affiliate in Raleigh, WRAL. That is a massive cleanup taking place in Fayetteville.
Yeah, down trees and some power lines in that community as well. A lot of people do not have power. You see them working by the light of those vehicles there. Again, this is the first phase of the cleanup, oftentimes after a hurricane, trying to get some of those major roads cleared off. And the difficulty here is you have to go in and assess, make sure there's no power lines in there, and then you can go in and start, you know, using the gloves, start chopping things down. But that Fayetteville area also hit pretty hard so far by the rain bands and the wind bands from Hurricane, now Tropical Storm Florence.
This Florence has been huge. It's affected a very large area. I mean, there was damage in Jacksonville, North Carolina from Hurricane Florence, which has since been downgraded, of course, to a tropical storm. I think we have some video from Jacksonville, and you can see there how a tree fell on a car, and that was a massive tree. Again, in Jacksonville, and from what we're hearing, and you'll see in this video, a lot of damage in that area.
And Jacksonville and Onslow County, more of the trees. We're going to let this video play here a little bit and just show some of the trees, bricks down in this building here. This looks much like the hotel shot that we did in Carolina Beach earlier of the bricks coming down at the building down there, obviously.
And it's interesting how the bricks have come down. It looks like it was a pattern of bricks. I don't know. Maybe it's the way that buildings are constructed these days, but how it came off in a big section.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Another car damaged underneath a tree here. We haven't had the chance to get out. You know, several people have. Marissa Hunley, John Smith, Bob Bonner, they've been able to get out and kind of go out and around. And it's going to be interesting as we hopefully are able to get out at some point in time tomorrow for a little while maybe. To try to, you know, get out and potentially make it home. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Sunday for those of us around here, but it's going to be interesting to see just how many of those same kind of shots we're going to see in your neighborhood and in my neighborhood where nobody's been yet as far as we can tell.
No, but I had some neighbors who sent me pictures of my yard, and I looked at it, and I have 3 trees down. I believe it's 3, it could be more. And one of them was my favorite tree. And I looked at it, I studied it, I got a little upset, and I said, you know what? In the big picture, in the scheme of things, it's a tree. I mean, obviously, I don't like the damage. I don't like the fact that, you know, there's going to be this cleanup once I get home. I'd just like to go home and rest when I've got to tackle that.
Oh, yeah.
But I decided that I can't deal with it now. I've got to focus on where we are and what we're doing. So we'll all get home and assess our damage and regroup and get into that mode, you know, and but right now we have a job to do.
Yeah, and the trees in your yard fell the right way, didn't fall on your house.
Yes, and I'm very, very, very grateful of that. But I can tell you what, you mentioned something earlier, John, that has me a little bit concerned. I do have a very tall pine tree in my yard, and for years I've been very concerned that it would fall in whatever direction the wind was blowing. If it fell this way, it would fall on my house. And so it did not fall, but the ground is saturated. I'm still concerned that if we had wind, it could still fall. I think once I do that cleanup, that tree's got to go.
Yeah, you got to get somebody in there to take it down. The one in my backyard, the one that we've had, which has survived all the other storms since we moved into that house 15 years ago, fell back and down and onto another tree in my neighbor behind us yard, took out a segment of the fence. But again, apparently appears to be resting on another tree. So at this point in time, so far, most of what we've been told from people around here in the newsroom, John Smith was talking earlier, he seems that no damage at his house. Marissa, the same kind of thing. Everyone seems to have had the trees fall the right way as far as this is concerned. And when you're in here trying to do that job, you really can't worry about anything, but boy, when somebody gives you that news in a text message, boy, you breathe a deep sigh of relief when something like that happens. Because a lot of people are in a lot worse condition than we are this evening as far as that is concerned.
And you're exactly right. When my neighbor sent the pictures, and then actually I had 3 neighbors send me pictures, and then I had some other neighbors send me a video. When I looked at it, you know, I thought, I should be very grateful that it didn't fall on the house, that it didn't fall on someone, and so you're right, you put things into perspective.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, in case you missed it, are we going to the video or Eric first? No, in case you missed it, let's go right here. These are more of the conditions taken in Surf City this morning. There was a group called Virginia Preparedness, drove around Surf City for a little while taking some of this video.
High water on roads, and then you're going to see shortly the Belle of Topsail boat was damaged, and that is disappointing to a lot of folks because that was a popular boat. There it is right there, toppled over in the water. That is pretty devastating. So, you know, I'm sure when we were talking earlier about Topsail didn't see the damage that we had anticipated. Folks are saying, well, that looks like significant
it's all relative,
damage there. It is all relative because we've seen it a lot worse in Topsail.
All right, let's go to meteorologist Eric Davis, who is giving us an update. We should get some new coordinates on the storm at some point in time in the next half hour, right, Eric?
Yeah, we certainly should. And also want to point out, probably not many of us are going to get through the storm completely unscathed, but again, we've got a long way to go here. The wind impacts, thankfully, getting a little bit reduced at this point. Hopefully, we'll see with this 11 p.m. advisory that the storm has reduced. But unfortunately, we need to throw a new threat into the mix. Like we don't have enough threats already with storm surge, flooding, and just tremendous amounts of rain. The new threat we've got is, look what's going on off to our north now. New tornado warning just issued that includes northern portions of Onslow County, and this is just to the north of Jacksonville. This tornado warning in effect until 11 o'clock. As we've been talking about, those outer rain bands have really been showing a lot of rotation, and now that they're beginning to sag to the southwest, in the coming hours, it does appear that the tornado threat will begin to increase across southeastern North Carolina. Again, tropical tornadoes not the same as what you typically think of. This is not the the storm chase videos that you see out in Oklahoma or something with the big wide. No, that's not the kind of tornadoes we're talking about. These tornadoes, much smaller, still dangerous, much smaller. They generally touch down very quickly and then go back up in the clouds. They're actually a real challenge to try to forecast exactly where they're going. And usually the timeline on these tornado warnings is pretty short. You can see right now it's 10:39. This tornado warning expires at 11 o'clock, and that's usually the nature of the tornado warnings we see. But that is going to be an increasing hazard here, I think, as we head into the late overnight hours, and particularly tomorrow morning as those stronger feeder bands to our north begin to sag off to our southwest. So another hazard there that we've got to throw into the mix. River flooding, we've talked some about this. This afternoon was very notable because we had a record crest on the Cape Fear River earlier this afternoon in Wilmington. Now remember, this is a tidal river. This is not your typical river that just rises and falls. Notice the river goes up and down through time. That's because of the tide. High tide, of course, is when it's the most dangerous. Low tide, of course, it drops back to levels below flood stage. But this afternoon at 3 o'clock, which was about the high tide this afternoon, the river hit 8.25 inches, and that surpassed the 8.25 feet. It's a little bit late at night, but 8.25 feet, surpassing the 8.17 feet that we saw with Hurricane Matthew. And by the way, Hurricane Matthew's river level exceeded what we saw with Hurricane Hazel way back in 1954. We always hear about Hurricane Hazel. That is the benchmark storm here in southeastern North Carolina. And that is definitely some major flooding. When you start getting 8.25 foot river level, you're going to be talking about significant water moving into downtown Wilmington. You're going to be talking about significant water moving into Battleship Park. And guess what? We got another high tide coming up here at around a little before 3 o'clock in the morning. That one probably not quite as high as the one we saw earlier today. But you can see with each high tide cycle along the Cape Fear River, we're going to probably see a little bit more in the way of flooding. Hopefully each tide cycle getting a little bit lower than the one before, but you get the general idea. We're going to probably be dealing with this at least through the weekend and possibly into the early part of next week through downtown Wilmington. And unfortunately, what we're dealing with in downtown Wilmington may be nothing compared to what we're going to be dealing with northeast Cape Fear River. This is a look at Burgaw. Flood stage, 16 feet. Look where we are now. I'll have to see if this number's been revised. I may have to raise this a little bit. But bottom line, we're still well below flood stage at this point along the northeast Cape Fear River in Burgaw. But as we start adding up 12, 24, maybe even as much as 30 inches of rain over a widespread area, all that water is going to go somewhere. It's going to go into our watersheds. And then on top of that, you got a situation as we've been talking about where the storm surge, we've been talking a lot about the storm surge along our beaches, but also along places like the Intercoastal Waterway. When the water tries to drain into these areas, it's going to back up, and 25.7 feet is now the forecast. That is major, major flooding along the Cape Fear River. That is going to be major impacts, and if it hits 25.7 feet, that would break the record that would be higher than the water levels that we saw with both Hurricane Floyd back in 1999 and also Hurricane Matthew, which we saw 2 years ago. So unfortunately, here we go again along the northeast Cape Fear River in Burgaw. There'll be some other rivers too. We're going to have to get a little better assessment on that in the days ahead once the hydraulics can really sit down and try to figure out. But we just want to give you a little bit of a heads up that a lot of the rivers are going to get really high here as we head into the early part of next week. It's no surprise with all the rain that we've got in the forecast. Lumber River in Lumberton, last stage we checked 6.6 feet. 24.9 is the forecast. The flood stage is 13 feet, so that is almost 12 feet above flood stage, and that could happen as soon as Sunday. So yeah, we're probably looking at major impacts there. And these rivers, of course, in the next few days are going to rise and rise very rapidly. And unfortunately, once we get past, once the storm finally moves out, once Florence finally moves out of here and we can gradually start to ramp those rain chances down, that's when the rivers are really going to start to ramp up. So another danger that we're going to have going into next week. As I said, we will be dealing with this storm for many, many, many weeks and probably many, many months as well in some shape or form. First Alert Digital Doppler, this is not what we want to see. You can see a big feeder band right now, right across New Hanover County. So when you start seeing feeder bands like this, you can really start to add up the rainfall in a big hurry. Just to our north, for instance, we had a feeder band up northern Onslow County up into the Morehead City area that dumped 23 inches of rain. So these feeder bands are no joke. They can just dump tremendous amounts of rain in no time at all. This one's not quite as strong, but still, you can get a good 1 inch maybe of rain per hour with that particular feeder band, and it extends back into Bladen County as well. So White Lake, you're seeing the feeder band, Ivanhoe back into Sampson County, and then over towards Elizabethtown, and then back towards Robeson County. Even Lumberton now getting in on some of this feeder band as well. So that's what we're going to be contending with here. And in a way, we've kind of gotten a break in some cases from the feeder bands compared to what we could. But it looks like by all indications that big, massive feeder band that's off to our north is going to be dropping to the south. We're going to increase the threat of potentially life-threatening flooding from just freshwater flooding from the rain, and we're going to be increasing the tornado risk as well. So this storm, bottom line for tonight, this storm is far from over. Once again, you can see the two tornado warnings in effect, one for Onslow County, the other one more up towards Lenoir County. I believe this one's just to the south of Kinston. There was some indication of some rotation there. Hour-by-hour forecast model, trying to outline things for you, and I wish I had better news for you, but the news is still not very good tonight. The center of the storm now has made that cross into South Carolina. We'll see exactly where it was. I guess any moment now we'll be getting the 11 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center, and maybe if Kelly gets that, she can pop that up for me. But right now, you can see noontime Saturday. Storm is probably somewhere in the vicinity of Charleston and Myrtle Beach, but that doesn't really help us. We're on the northeast side of the storm. There, as we've been talking about, that big flow right off the ocean. That's the storm surge. And, of course, more of these feeder bands. Look at this. The model is really doing a good job picking up on these feeder bands. 2, 3, maybe even 4-inch rainfall rates per hour around noontime tomorrow. Check this out. As we head into Sunday morning, you would think by Sunday we'd finally have some relief, right? Well, maybe not. The storm itself probably starting to move back maybe in more central portions of North Carolina. That's where the circulation center is. That doesn't really help us. Again, you still have that big feed right off the Atlantic Ocean. Look at this model still picking up on more of those very heavy feeder bands. Maybe some isolated tornado risk continuing through all day Saturday, probably into Sunday as well. Maybe if we can just push this thing a little bit further to the west, maybe finally there's some indications that some slow relief will start to happen around here on Sunday afternoon. At least the activity is getting a little more scattered in nature, and then it's just going to be very slow improvement here probably as we head to Sunday night and into Monday. 7-day forecast, 80 degrees for your high tomorrow, and then some isolated showers and, widespread showers and thunderstorms still around for Sunday with those feeder bands, especially on Sunday morning. But progressively, we'll probably see the feeder bands become less and less. It's just going to be gradual improvement. Tuesday, look for some scattered showers and thunderstorms with high temperatures still running in the 80s, maybe mid to upper 80s for the most part, so not any big change here in that. And Kelly, want to show me something?
Yeah, we just got the latest.
Got the latest information. Tell you what, can we pop up Max 1 and I'll walk over here with John.
I mean,
we'll
if you've got those new coordinates, go ahead.
All right, it looks like the storm has weakened. Is that 65 mile per hour sustained winds? Yeah, I'm reading it.
And that's not 615. This is brand new,
This
right?
is brand new, literally hot off the press. Okay. And the gusts now, we're right at the maximum gust at this point probably would be hurricane force. So we're probably seeing the window for any hurricane force winds ending. If there's one piece of good news, that might be it.
And here's some good news. There's some more good news. It's moving at 5 miles an hour now.
Okay,
instead of 3.
It's nearly doubled its speed. But I mean, again, as we've been talking about, any small piece of positive news here is good news. I mean, it may not make a big bit of difference, but 5 miles an hour is better than 3 when you're talking about this thing getting the heck out of here.
Yeah, 5 miles per hour, but unfortunately we're still talking about a storm that's 400 miles wide, and that's why we're still going to be in it tomorrow. We're probably still going to be in it at least into Sunday morning. And I got to tell you, I'm really getting concerned about those models showing those feeder bands just constantly pounding us all the rest of tonight, all day tomorrow, maybe into Sunday morning. You can easily see why another 10, 15, 20 inches of rain could be in the forecast on top of what we've already seen.
I didn't hear any good news.
Yeah, well, I tried to make
there's not much.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe we'll see it speed up and get out of here sooner than later.
I hope so. If we can pick up a little bit of forward speed, that could give us a little bit of clearing out a little faster.
Of a break.
This may sound like a dumb question. I'm tired. What, if anything, would help it speed up?
Well, if we can find some kind of trough or something back towards what the problem is, we've been looking for items in the atmosphere that would kick this off. But unfortunately, what we're seeing right now, typically when we have a hurricane, there's some kind of trough which will pick the hurricane up and then move it out very quickly. There's nothing like that in the atmosphere. Basically, the hurricane is stuck between a high pressure area offshore, and then there's another high pressure which is off to the west, and they're kind of offsetting each other. So the net result is the storm just really doesn't move very much, or it moves very slowly, as you can see. It took 12 hours for the storm to move about 50 or 60 miles, basically from Riceville Beach to Myrtle Beach. took over 12 hours just to move that far. And it's not going to move a lot faster tomorrow either, it doesn't look like. Just slightly faster maybe.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, the Lewis latest coordinates, brand new information on Tropical Storm Florence right now. Casey Roman sent us some video that she says really kind of shows a lot of tree and power line issues. And firefighters are saying this is one of the biggest reasons you don't need to be out on the roads tonight.
Huge reason not to. I mean, it is so extremely dangerous, so extremely dangerous. And, you know, if there are tree limbs falling at night, you can't see that. If there's a power line falling, or even a power line that has already fallen, you can't see it at night. Well, one other thing to keep in mind is that we are all under a curfew for
literally everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. Curfews in effect throughout the entire WECT viewing area. Raycom's Alex Giles reports on Florence's impacts on the port city.
As evening set in Friday, Florence's winds continued to whip the port city. The storm has been hitting Wilmington hard with the elements since making landfall Friday morning. Near the Intracoastal Waterway by Wrightsville Beach, storm surge had water running onto the mainland, but locals say it looks better than expected.
I think we got lucky. You know, the high tide, the earlier cycle would have been a lot worse for us.
It's a lot better than what they said it would have been, but I believe that now I think we can just ride this out and we'd be safe.
It didn't take long for waters of the Cape Fear River to flow over onto Water Street in downtown Wilmington.
We have at least knee-deep water, which is totally different just a couple hours. It's crazy how drastic the change is.
There was plenty of storm damage throughout the area. A gas station found ripped apart. Across town, a partner at the Oceanside Motor Company was quick to check out his own business.
Lost the awning, our sign's down. I haven't looked at any of the cars yet, but overall I think we're pretty lucky.
Others weren't as fortunate. The downtown sector saw plenty of trees uprooted, some causing serious damage.
You know, they prune them and they take care of them, but this is, you know, they're 200 years old. Some of them are older than that.
And one of the most devastating moments yet from Florence, a mother and infant killed after a tree came crashing through this Wilmington home. Firefighters knelt in prayer after trying to save their lives.
And that image is going, that's again, former WECT reporter Alex Giles now works for WBTV, our sister station in Charlotte. And again, they are seeing that image tonight in Alex's report. People all across the country and in international media markets are seeing that same image tonight.
It's embedded in all of our heads at this point. And when we think back on Florence, we will think back on that image. Now in Jacksonville, people who fled the coastline had to be rescued as the place where they were taking refuge started to collapse.
Yeah, NBC's Joe Fryer tells us all about that.
This is Joe Fryer in Jacksonville, North Carolina, 20 miles in from the ocean, where the storm is wreaking havoc, ripping off part of a roof at the Triangle Motor Inn.
Everything collapsed on us. A big bang, the roof went, and all of the ceiling fell down on us.
Bill Thomas is one of 60 guests who had to be evacuated. He actually lives near Wilmington and was trying to escape the hurricane's path, but the storm found him.
What's your hope right now?
Just to get home. And I'm tired of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
The rain as relentless as the wind, with neighborhoods already flooding. Just last night, the New River stopped on the other side of that fence. Today, it's overflowing beyond its banks, a combination of storm surge, high tide, and over a foot of rain here.
This is more than another hurricane. This is a lot more.
Tonight, as floodwaters rise, the drama of Florence is reaching far beyond the coast.
And Brad Myers is back in the WECT digital studio getting an update from our crew in Charlotte tonight. Still a lot of rain pouring into those communities down in the Brunswick County beach areas, and still a lot of tropical storm force winds down that way too, Brad.
Yeah, exactly. I have Ben Smart with me. If you've been following us throughout the day, as I'm sure many of you have, Ben has been out there in the thick of it over in Brunswick County. Ben, kind of just tell me again for viewers where you're located right now.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Brad. Hope you're doing well. I'm sitting on the porch here in the home where we are sheltered in place. It's off of Village Drive, which is kind of one of the side roads right off of the main road. Main Street is actually what it's called in Charlotte. It's a well-built, older home, so we are pretty safe here. This home was built in the 1920s and has lasted a long time, so we're pretty confident of our safety here. But really, my thoughts have been with people who are in smaller homes, smaller areas. There's different mobile homes around here. There's trailer homes. There are folks in homes that aren't as sturdy as the one that we are in. And that's really what my thoughts are right now. Right now, the wind is not as extreme as it was earlier. It's been kind of a lull since it really picked up earlier. The rain is coming down here. The rain is the real constant, just kind of pelting us. It comes in spurts. I don't know if you can hear any of the sound over my voice, but the trees are rustling. There's a lot of tall, thin trees in Charlotte. It's kind of a swampy, wooded area. So, we're just kind of at a watching and waiting phase here. The roads are not safe right now, but you can hear people going by. People are choosing to drive by. Some of these folks are obviously first responders like police and firefighters, but earlier today I was with Alex Carino. We were driving back, getting back home by the nighttime curfew, and there was a couple walking out on the side of the road, and we stopped by because people are very sparse out and about. We only saw 3 people today who were not first responders. This couple, they told me that they were going to go take pictures of the water because they said they had lived here their entire lives, and the storm, they were really downplaying the storm. They didn't feel very afraid, but we asked them about the flooding. The flooding in the low-lying Brunswick County areas, including Charlotte, is really the main concern as this slow-moving storm just continues to dump buckets and buckets of rain down here. And he said he would have crossed that bridge when he gets there, but that's really not the mindset you want to have whenever, if your home is by the river. The other very surprising thing that we saw today was we were driving down the main street of Charlotte. We look out, and we see a guy in a black raincoat. He's feverishly raking, pushing leaves off of the storm drain in a kind of a strip mall area in front of a jewelry store. And so Alex and I were like, what's this guy doing here? He's the only person outside right now when the rain is coming down, tropical storm force winds potentially blowing down the Burger King sign. We drive over to him, talk to him. We thought he might be a looter in front of the jewelry store. Turns out he is a dentist in town, and his office was just a couple stores down from the jewelry store, and he was working to push the leaves out of the drain so that the water would not flood the stores there.
Wow.
So, I mean, I can't say that's probably the smartest decision, given the fact that the winds are pretty severe, but it goes to show people are they're pretty dedicated to protecting, their property and, protecting the different areas around here, Brad.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's hard to judge somebody when you have your own business like that. That is your life. That's your livelihood. So obviously you can't knock them.
Exactly, yeah. And that's one thing we've heard here constantly throughout the day is people here, they've had homes. Charlotte is kind of an interesting mix. I was talking with the mayor about this, the mayor of Charlotte, Walt Eckerd, kind of just learning more about the community here. He said it's a mix of kind of 2 groups of people. The main group of people are families who have been here for generations in Charlotte, 2 miles off the coast of southeastern North Carolina, Brunswick County. And then you have folks who have moved in here for other reasons. People are very dedicated to this community. If you drive through the main street, there's a large cross in town, and there are several churches in town, but this cross in particular really stands out on a kind of the Charlotte streetscape. It's lit up at night. It lights up at 9 p.m. and it says Jesus Saves on it, and it is it's a very notable landmark in town, and I'm hoping for the sake of the people here who care about this, this cross and this community that it's standing after the winds. But I have a feeling that it will be standing after the winds because I was speaking with Eric Davis earlier, our meteorologist, and he said that we might have already experienced the worst of the winds here. By no means is the threat over, but that cross was still standing, and I feel pretty good about that. That is a win, obviously, for I guess the moral fabric of the community here.
Yeah, and I'm sure, take what you will, but I'm sure a lot of people take comfort in that, the fact that stood up, and I'm sure they will kind of point to that.
Yeah, and speaking of things that did or did not stand up, just a few few stores down, the Burger King sign was completely blown off. So obviously not as well built as other areas. Obviously very much a ghost town here. First responders patrolling all throughout the day. We saw sheriff's deputies, police cars driving the roads of the fire department. We did have one report. We saw some first responders speed past our house, and we got in touch with the folks here. We learned that it was most likely a medical call. So we haven't heard any extreme reports here. There have been trees down on the roads here, and they have been working to remove those trees. So it's not safe to go out on the roads right now.
Ben, you were talking about that medical angle, and I'm going to get a little behind the scenes here with you. First off, we love Ben. Ben's a very smart reporter, and he has a medical background as well. We lovingly refer to him as Dr. Ben. And Ben, we were talking before we started this interview about that, about the medical side of it. I was speaking with the Tom Collins. He's the Pender County Emergency Services Director, and he was telling me up there in Pender County they did have one loss of life due to a medical issue, and that's what you and I were talking about. It's so tough for those first responders because they couldn't get to those folks in time, and that seemed to be an issue in this storm.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to speculate about what this particular call was, but just generally speaking, my mind immediately goes to the folks who are most vulnerable in these conditions. Older adults, people with chronic diseases, people who have pre-existing conditions, people who might have, immune system disorders, any kind of sort of conditions. In particular, for instance, someone with diabetes. Diabetes is normally a very well-controlled disease if you have insulin. But if you don't have that life-saving medicine, things can get serious very fast. And I don't want to presume that the first responders do have those kits on supplies, but without that medication, that's just one example of how things can, turn south very fast for people.
And of course, the big aspect of this storm is that, the storm may leave, but we're still going to feel the effects of it, power outages and problems like that. So I know a lot of us are thinking, just get through this. But the truth is, we really need to be kind of gearing up for the long haul.
Exactly. And here in Brunswick County and the low-lying areas, the flooding is what is top of mind for a lot of people here. Looking at the radar, being on the ground here for the past 2 or 3 days, we seem to have missed the most of the extreme winds. Winds are still bad. Trees are still being knocked down, but not as bad as other areas comparatively. So the rain is the big concern here. Just the downpours nonstop over the next few hours, and the Charlotte River is a great place to spend time here 360 days out of the year. But whenever storms come and it overwhelms the banks there and it floods, it creates a lot of headaches and danger for people around there. I think it was a couple of days ago, NOAA sent out an alert talking about how these rivers can be a life-threatening situation if they flood over for the folks who live right nearby.
All right, Ben. So clearly, even if you wanted to get back, it may be kind of a tricky drive. So talk to me about what the game plan is for tomorrow. I know you guys have several crews over there. So what are you guys going to be up to?
Our plan tomorrow is once we determine whether it's safe to get out on the roads, we want to check in at West Brunswick High School, one of the shelters here. Check in with the folks there, see how they're doing, seeing how everyone is holding up there, talk with the Red Cross there, see if we can get out any messages to anyone out there if they want to, let people know they're okay, get any messages to family and friends. And then we want to head over back to, there's 2 bridges that cross the Charlotte River in Charlotte, and we want to check on those bridges to see if they are flooded, because when we were driving today, we saw that the water was already starting to flood over on some of the roadways, and with 24 to 36 hours of rain, depending on which radar you look at, remaining and how slow-moving the storm is, if these roads flood, you're kind of in an impassable situation here. You can't just move the water off the roads like a tree branch, Brad.
All right, Ben Smart reporting tonight in Charlotte. Ben, we really appreciate you calling in. We'll check back sometime tomorrow.
All right, Brad. I hope you guys stay safe. Thanks so much.
Again, that was Ben Smart talking to us. I want to pull up our WECT community voice page, which we continue to monitor, and got another 8 people wanting to join even tonight. So we really appreciate it. If you want to send us your pictures, videos, whatever you may have, updates. We were also getting some really cool, what we call hurricane hacks, ways to kind of make, living in the dark and different things like that, trying to make it a little bit easier. We get it. It's tough. A lot of you have no power. You may just be streaming on whatever juice is left on your iPad or on your smartphone. But again, just want to kind of show some of these pictures that we're getting. This one is around Highway 17 in the Winnebago area. Brian Bryant sending us this, and we've seen a lot of churches that sustained damage in this storm. He's kind of showing some more of this pooling on the roadway, and that will likely continue, in the days and even, week or weeks ahead. As we've been talking about with the meteorologist, don't forget, a lot of other parts of the state are seeing a lot of this rain. All that rain has to go somewhere, and it will eventually trickle back down to us here at the coast. As we continue to look through Brian's pictures, trees down all over the place and covering the road. That's right there is what I was talking to Ben about, why the crews from Charlotte or in Charlotte may not be able to get back to the station if they wanted to tomorrow. We're going to, of course, continue to monitor everything on this with the cleanup process, of course. And it's going to be tricky for a lot of folks. I know a lot of viewers will be watching us who have evacuated out of this area, and they want to know, hey, can I come back? And the truth will be, it depends on where you live, and it depends on which roads get cleaned up first. As we continue to look at Brian Bryant's pictures here and some of the flooding, again, off of Highway 17, that's in the Winnebago area. Mandy Lou asking, can anyone tell me what it looks like in Rocky Point? Rebecca King answers, no power, lots of downed trees. Brian Bryant posting some more of those pictures. Look at that. That is a power pole snapped, and a big reason why power is out for tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands across the state of North Carolina tonight. We were showing you this video earlier as I scroll right past it. This was kind of up closer to the Outer Banks area, and you just see some of those waves coming in, and it's kind of tough to watch. Emily Fitzgerald sent us this earlier this hour. This is Beasley Road and Kelly Road. No outlet here, you see that, and this is what Ben was talking about. Some of those lower bridges, and the water is already up and over those bridges, and that's what's going to make it dangerous for so many folks as they try to either make it back to their homes or try to make it from their homes out. Of course, this is why the governor also said you need 7 days worth of supplies. You're going to have to be able to ride this thing out. So we're hoping that those of you who stayed, that you will be able to have enough supplies, because, the truth is some of those grocery stores may not be open. Hopefully we can get things back up, but this is a huge storm and clearly caused a lot of damage there, taking out power poles. Again, looking at Emily Fitzgerald's pictures there. Emily, thank you so much for sending those in. And again, you can send those in to us too. Just head to Facebook, search WECT Community Voice. Right now, 8 people want in. You all are in. There you go. And it can be that easy too for you guys. So just head to Facebook, send us those messages. Also, something to keep in mind. Clearly, it's past 11 o'clock right now. A lot of folks are probably tuning out, heading to bed. Tomorrow, when you wake back up, we'd love to get some of those Skype reports. We've had some great reports from Curie Beach, from Pender County, from Brunswick County, from all over, really. We love to get those. Reach out to us, whether by email, Twitter, Facebook, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you have to do. We would love to hear from you. That way we can show folks what you're seeing and kind of pass that along. Guys, that's the latest here from the digital studio. Send it back to the studio.
Send the carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
That is
maybe wait
priceless.
for the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the number on that page right now, Brad?
I can tell you.
Oh, Fran's been looking. What's the number?
There you go.
7,000.
7,000 people.
Wow. 7,097 if you want to get
for people at home, understand when we started this storm coverage
this week,
we were at about 800. And that was good because it's a new page and we're growing it slowly, and we're already at 7,000.
We were growing it slowly.
Right.
Yeah.
Florence has diametrically grown it for us this week, all week long. All right, Brad, thanks. So again, you're to his point, and he is right. Some of the best material we've had in the past 36 hours that we've been on has come from that page.
It has.
And people posting the pictures and the videos and stuff like that. Now, a short time ago, we got an email. A friend of many of ours, Dr. Damian Brzezinski, a cardiologist in town, sent us these pictures of damage done at the Brooklyn Arts Center in downtown Wilmington. And for those of us who know the history behind this building, this just hurts your heart to see some of these pictures right here.
Such an historical building and a great place, a great venue to have events. So many people have held their weddings there. So many receptions have been held there. It is heartbreaking to see that because it really is a beautiful building. And some of that, I hate to say this, can't really be replaced.
Right, those are stained glass windows and there you see the damage from the outside. You saw some of it fall on the inside. Again, there's the shot from the inside. You're right. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure someone somewhere must do that work, but it's sure not going to, not going to be of the exact same, unless they replace everything all over again. But to see
it won't be the original.
Right, the original. That's the word I was looking for. It won't. That just hurts to see some of that history of that great venue, like you said, just be hurt by this storm.
All right, Casey Roman has been very busy. She sent us some video. This shows roads that you absolutely cannot navigate. You absolutely can't try to go any farther here because the branch or the tree covers the entire lane. And that is what you potentially can see anywhere in our viewing area because that's the impact this storm had for all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, trees down left and right, everywhere. That was the big part of this storm so far, the number of trees that are down. And Casey Roman was out and saw that.
With some of the firefighters down there in the Charlotte area, so not like she's just driving around, willy-nilly down there. Down there with some of those fire crews, and they're just kind of giving her a shout so that we can, or giving her an opportunity to shoot the video so we can put it on the air here.
Well, Hurricane Florence roared ashore this morning as a Category 1 storm, knocking out power to more than 1 million people. Yeah,
NBC's Wendy Woolfolk, who has been here all week, really kind of headquartered in Wilmington and Carolina Beach, reports tonight on the damage that the area has seen so far.
Florence punishing the Carolinas with wind and rain as she crawls down the coast. In her wake, storm surge, putting towns like New Bern under 10 feet of water.
I've never been so terrified in my entire life. It was horrifying. Just wondering what's going on and where the water's going to go and how high it's going to go and how we are going to get out.
Those rescues with good outcomes. In Wilmington, a rescue effort became a grim recovery after a tree fell on a home, killing a mother and her infant.
It hits home for all of us. I mean, regardless if you have kids or not, if you have a family or not, it's a human life.
Despite widespread damage, roofs ripped from their buildings, trees uprooted, and power lines down across the area, it's typically the rain and flooding that poses the greatest threat to life.
Right now, our focus is on saving lives and protecting people. We're still in the thick of the storm, and it's far from over.
A region that will need patience to weather this storm. Florence is just not letting up. These relentless conditions could last well into the weekend. In Wilmington, North Carolina, Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News.
And that's what our meteorologists have been telling us. It could last well into the weekend. For the latest on that, let's go to Kelly.
Yeah, guys, we've been continuing to watch Florence very closely, too, as these bands continue to get closer to our area. Worried about the potential for some significant flash flooding and just flooding in general on top of the rain amounts that we've already seen tonight. Again, the latest advisory coming in from the National Hurricane Center has weakened Florence just a little bit. Winds right now at 65 miles per hour. Gusts upwards of 75 miles per hour. This is moving west-southwest at 5 miles per hour. So it has increased in speed, but just a touch. But I think we'll take anything we can get for right now. Here's your latest official forecast track from Florence. Again, not much has changed there. This continues to move very, very slowly, eventually going to make a curve out to the north and east as a remnant low as we head into your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But again, impacts for us here will continue as we head throughout the overnight tonight and into your Saturday and Sunday as well. Here's a look at radar right now. Again, we're having kind of some problems with our local radar here. It kind of keeps dropping out, but you can still see some heavy bands here, one making its way through portions of Bladen County, Pender County, and New Hanover County, and an even stronger wave of precipitation, a tropical band outside of that too, which has sparked up a few tornado warnings to our north and east. So that's what we're going to be watching very closely too. I just saw in chat, Storm Prediction Center has extended the tornado watch down to our 5 main counties through 7 a.m. tomorrow. So we're still working to get that information out and accurate too over the next few days. I think Eric's kind of working on getting that out for our local area. But again, we'll continue to keep you updated as we ourselves get updated on that situation for right now. So here's the radar for right now. Here's our local radar. Again, this has been cutting out for the past couple of days. But if you guys want to take Max 2 now, Eric has the watch up for the tornado watch. Again, this is issued through 7 a.m. tomorrow. Again, this has just been issued a tornado watch for all of our 5 main counties lasting through 7 a.m. Saturday. So a tornado watch means conditions will be favorable for a tornado to form. It's not imminent right now, but the potential for a tornado to spin up is likely as we make our way through the overnight. Again, this is through Saturday at 7 a.m. All 5 of our main counties under a tornado watch, which means that conditions will be favorable for a tornado to spin up as we head throughout the overnight tonight and the early morning hours for tomorrow. Specifically in these bands that you see here on the left side of your screen, one right now moving through portions of northern Bladen County, portions of Pender County and northern New Hanover County, kind of the one we've been monitoring over the past couple of hours through this wall-to-wall coverage. And the one to the north of that is what has been spinning up actual tornado warnings and what we've been watching. So again, we're on the east side of that storm right now, and that's where we usually see these impacts of a spin-up tornado, continuing to see very heavy rainfall too. Flash flooding will be a concern. Catastrophic, life-threatening flash flooding will be a concern moving forward. So already, within the past 24 hours, and this has been over a 24-hour event too, so these rainfall estimated rates probably even higher than what we're seeing on the screen right now. Oak Island probably, or even Brunswick County, we'll go by county here, probably seeing anywhere between, 10, 11, 12, 13 inches of rainfall. Columbus County, especially southern Columbus County, seeing upwards of 8, 9, 10, possibly 11 inches of rainfall so far. Pender County, northern Pender County, 6, 7, 8 inches. So really, all of our 5 main counties have seen a good amount of rainfall already, close to a foot in some spots, and already going to add an additional probably 10 to possibly 15 or 20 inches on top of that as these bands continue to move through. This is moving at such a slow pace that once you get stuck under one of those tropical bands, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And it's kind of that blinding rain. And with that being said, we have these little spin-up vortices. You see there, our radar's kind of cutting out. So we're doing the best we can here to keep you guys updated. But there you can see those outer bands here. One making its way through, again, northern New Hanover County, mostly slicing the Pender County right there, and northern Bladen County. Also, too, a little band making its way into central Brunswick County, too. But that band behind it, that second band, is what's been producing or spinning up those tornado warnings so far tonight. And still, we have one right there now, a tornado warning issued till midnight. Let's go into the other chat room and see where this is for. Tornado warning issued for Carteret, Craven, Duplin, Jones, Lenoir, Onslow County. This lasts till midnight. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Cape Carteret, or 12 miles southwest of Newport, moving northwest at 30 miles per hour. So again, this is going to be the trend for a quick spin-up tornado as these bands slowly sink down into our area. So keep that in mind. And again, a tornado watch is now issued for all of our 5 main counties until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. That means conditions will be favorable for a spin-up tornado moving through overnight tonight and into the early morning hours for tomorrow. Here's your additional rainfall forecast. This is from our in-house model. So this is showing us anywhere between 15, possibly an extra 20 inches of rainfall on top of what we've already seen. We showed you those estimates earlier. Some areas already picking up a foot. Add on another foot on top of that. I mean, we're talking about significant flooding moving forward. Our forecast before, as we were talking about this storm, we forecasted around a foot or 2 feet of rain with the storm. And this is really unfolding as we've forecasted it to earlier in the week. So we'll continue to talk about that with the hour-by-hour model too moving forward. Here you can see the center of the storm continue to move to the south, mostly in Horry County too, but those bands continuing to wrap around there. Again, onshore flow too with this, so areas already seeing storm surge, specifically our east-facing beaches. You'll get that onshore flow, so more water pushing up onto the inland areas. And again, this not only a coastal problem, but inland folks too could see more significant floodings from rivers, from lakes, from those estuaries. You mean this water's got to go somewhere, and it's going to continue to flood out. So, you know, lots of fine tuning. I'm going to continue to work on this tornado watch, guys. Again, this tornado watch is for all of our 5 main counties. I'll see if I can pull up a graphic of what we got. If you guys want to pull up Max 2 again for the tornado watch graphic. All of our 5 main counties have now been extended into the tornado watch through 7 a.m. Saturday morning. This means conditions will be favorable for a spin-up tornado. We're on the east side of that storm, so this is kind of a common thing we expect too with these tropical systems. John, I'm going to toss it over back to you. I want to get this stuff tweeted out online so people can see that, but of course if we do have a warning that does go out, we'll come right back over us here in the Weather Center. But for now, I'm kind of going to gather that information and we'll send it back over to you.
Okay, Kel, thanks. We have some new information, and this is for water customers in Carolina Beach. You may experience some periods of low pressure and water outages because of the power going out on Pleasure Island. The town of Carolina Beach and the Division of Environmental Health issued a boil water advisory for when the water service is restored. Now, if you don't have water service now, kind of a moot point, but when power's restored and the water service comes on, at first when it comes back on, you will not want to drink it without boiling it. You don't want to cook with it without boiling it. Customers, you'll be notified when the testing is completed and the service is returned to normal. But once again, when you get that water service back on Pleasure Island, at least for the near future, you do not want to cook with or drink the water. You want to go and boil that water as soon as that water is restored on Carolina Beach. The story that we're talking about in Wilmington, the first deaths confirmed in the city in New Hanover County from this storm. An 8-month-old child and the child's mother died when a tree crashed into their home this morning. Crews were able to get the father out and taken to the hospital, but according to a spokesperson for the Wilmington Police Department, the tree fell on the home on Mercer Avenue about 9:30, trapped the family inside.
We were all touched watching your firefighters gather together in prayer. What is this like for them?
Well, it's tough. They're out here, they're under a lot of stress. They don't even know the condition of their own homes or their own families. So it's a difficult situation for all of us.
I've got 3 girls, and it's home for all of us. I mean, regardless if you have kids or not, if you have a family or not, it's a human life. It's people who live in the city that we're here to protect, and you know, and we just try to show up and do all we can.
Yeah, and that really has your heart go out to all of those first responders. FEMA crew came in to try to help as well. All the members of the Wilmington Fire Department that went out there. Of course, that was Lester Holt, the NBC News anchor, who was out there with firefighters this morning when that call came in. And just in the story and the way he told it today was very well done from the perspective of the family and the loss, but also from those firefighters and the loss that they suffered being out there today and trying to save a life. They did save one life, but unfortunately we're not able to save 2 others.
But such heartbreak. I mean, you saw either family members or friends arrive on the scene, horrified at the news that a mother and an infant killed. It was just, it was such tragedy. All right, so Casey Roman sent in some video of an impassable road, and we showed this to you just a little while ago, but it's just a reminder that you cannot get out because it is so dangerous. All right, let's go to Gabby in our digital studio. So, Gabby, what do you have for us?
Hey guys, good evening. I actually have Casey Roman on the phone with me right now. She, as you just said, she shot that video of that impassable road. She's in Brunswick County in Charlotte, so we're going to hear from her on what she's seen today and what she has experienced. Hello, Casey.
Hey, good almost morning of our, 24-hour plus full wall-to-wall weather coverage. I was just out in the fire truck bay. I've been with the Charlotte Fire Department pretty much this whole time. And I was about to tell you that it looks kind of calm out, and I got a WECT alert that said tornado warning in Charlotte. So it's been really deceiving outside down here. You know, it will be very intense for a while, and then we'll feel like we got a lull. And if you try to head out in that lull, I mean, it will just turn on a dime, and you are headed right back to where you came from. So I think you all got some of that Oak Island footage that we were able to send back. During one of those lulls, we were trying to get out because, you know, we've been hearing from all of you that everyone wants to know how their house is doing in their neighborhood. And we've really, you know, it's just really tricky for us on a safety end of trying to get out there and get video and report from all the different neighborhoods. And we cover 5 counties and do it in a way that's smart. So during one of those lulls, we went out to Oak Island, and it was unreal. I mean, we had to kind of brace ourselves and put your head down just to plow out to anywhere near the surf. And the second you lifted your head up, you just got pelted with sand. It was painful, and big globs of sea foam just smacking you right in the face. But the good news about Oak Island, while I did see some roof damage and some siding damage, for the most part, it looked pretty stable this afternoon and everything holding up well there. And then I also sent you some of that footage from, we did a final check on everybody, or as many people as we could get to. So we got on the fire truck and went around to some of the neighborhoods, and sort of like what we expected, that downed trees are really the big concern. The Brunswick County, we've got those tall pine trees, and not a lot of them were on houses. One of the firefighters looked over at me when we noticed that a lot of them were just off the house, and he said, "These are all prayers answered." But there was one on a car. Mostly we saw a lot of trees and a lot of branches on power lines, and you know, that's really, I feel like people are probably getting sick of hearing us say, stop driving, stop going out on the road, but you know, you can't outrun that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and when you were talking about people asking to see how their houses were, I know I took several calls earlier this afternoon, people calling and asking specifically about Oak Island. I'm evacuated to Raleigh. What does my house look like? And I'm sure people appreciate you going out there and risking your safety to just check on conditions. But thank you so much, Casey, for talking to us and letting us know how things are over there in Brunswick County.
Yes, stay safe, everyone in Wilmington, and we will be checking back in with you all starting tomorrow morning.
Yes. All right. Talk to you later.
All right, good night.
And this is just another reason and example why you should follow our WCT Community Voice page. It's a great outlet. That's how we've been getting a lot of video and pictures of the damage. I know that's a lot of concern for many. I've been checking Twitter and Facebook throughout the day, and that is a big question is, I'm here, what does this look like? Or I'm over here, I don't want to go outside. So that's a good, I know at least before I got off yesterday, or this afternoon, we had at least 5,000 members. So those are people that can answer your questions, and you can ask questions and answer their questions. So it's also a good outlet. I'm going to keep my eye on the Community Voice page, on other Facebook pages, Twitter, and I'll bring you the latest from what I see over there. But back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Gabby.
Okay, Gabby, good to have somebody of new energy with us tonight. And Kim Ratcliffe and Bill Murray will be in here in a little while as we start to do the next change of shifts. You know, we've been feeling these the effects of this storm now for 12, 15, 18 hours, but they're starting to get it a little more ferociously down in South Carolina.
Yeah, the brunt of Florence's winds now being felt by our neighbors to the south. And I'm telling you what, they're feeling it a lot. Raycom's Abby O'Brien has the latest now from Berkeley County, South Carolina.
Very windy, very rainy here in Berkeley County, right near Lake Moultrie in Bono. You can see the waves here just whipping over the boat ramp. The National Weather Service in Charleston said they have seen tropical storm force winds coming off of the lake for several hours now, and it is certainly still very windy. This is right near the Watermark restaurant. There are some people out there getting some food and drink and coming out and taking some pictures and video of what this scene looks like. The Berkeley County Sheriff's Office has also been up here to, of course, make sure people are not in or near the water. I've also seen some fire crews out moving some tree limbs from trees that fell across the roads, mostly in neighborhoods, not on any main roads, but people here in Berkeley County certainly feeling the effects of what's left of this storm. Reporting in Berkeley County, Abby O'Brien for the Raycom News Network.
Wow, that was very windy, lots of rain, and well, our wind, I think, is better.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of what some of our reporters were going through this time last night or early this morning with some of those wind bands and some of the rain going along with it. Tonight, Southport is just a mess in many areas.
Raycom's Molly Grantham talked to Southport's deputy fire chief about the conditions there.
This is unreal. Unreal. Oh my Lord.
How are you doing?
So far, pretty good.
Okay, so what does that mean so far? Pretty good. You're in the middle of a hurricane.
Well, major power outages. We've got what appears to be a water main break, so that is also added to it.
This is what real hurricane fighters do.
Oh, yeah? There was a church that had the steeple blown off. A lot of businesses that have lost roofs. We've had some residences outside of city that have lost roofs.
Mount Carmel AME Church lost their steeple. It looks like we're losing the tin and some of the roof on Yacht Mason Eatery and Flavas. The roof at the pantry wing is gone over the gas pumps. It's taking the roof off of that building.
Okay, so lots of recovery ahead once you get past the final ends of the storm anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been on now? How many hours?
I've been here since Wednesday evening, so I believe it's Friday evening now.
Yeah, it's Friday evening. So you've been on 48 hours. In those 48 hours, just give me your gut reaction. What's the most startling thing you've seen or heard or had to do?
How quickly the water started to rise everywhere.
It was not this rough during Matthew. This is the river. It's not even the ocean. Oh God. Look at the dock.
We've tried to stress to people that, I mean, even the National Weather Service told us, you know, that this is a better case scenario because with the lower rated hurricane was going to come a lot more rain. So it really wasn't a trade-off per se. They were just looking at that number.
Right, but the number doesn't matter if you're flooding for 48 hours.
Number doesn't matter for if it's a bunch of water, right?
If it would have been a 3 or 4, I'm serious. The whole waterfront would have been devastated.
All right, we'll get another check on your weather. Again, our radar not too cooperating with us right now. Again, you can see that kind of blacking out a little bit. We've had a few problems with our radar tower going down before, but starting to see it come back a little bit. But nonetheless, here's the picture of Florence now. Again, this is a tropical storm moving very, very slowly at around 5 miles per hour. So again, we're going to continue to see the threat for flooding. And not only just adding on rainfall totals to what we've already seen, but I'm talking about flash flooding, catastrophic life-threatening flooding through the overnight tonight and as we head into Saturday, continuing into Sunday and even parts of Monday as well. Here's your local radar. Our southeast North Carolina. We have a few bands too, these outer bands pushing down very heavy rainfall, these tropical bands kind of just blinding rain. Moving over the same area too, so if you get caught in one of these bands, you'll likely continue to see very heavy rainfall for a long amount of time until this continues to very slowly move towards the west. So once we get this band through the area, another band back here, a bigger, more heavier band. This has been producing tornado warnings too most recently, which will continue to work through the area overnight tonight and into your day for Saturday. So again, all of our area seeing significant rainfall and continuing to add on top of what we've already seen so far. This is radar estimated rainfall rates over the past 36 hours. So we've already seen close to a foot and even over a foot in Oak Island. So 10, 11, 12, 13 inches already for parts of Brunswick County. This is the same thing too as we look over into southern Columbus County. Totals of 11, close to 12 inches, 8, 9 inches or likely in Whiteville or Columbus County, excuse me. Over to New Hanover County, we got clocked around a foot of rainfall there. Same thing with Pender County, 7, 8, 9 inches of rainfall so far. Bladen County is seeing upwards of around 2 to possibly 5 inches of rainfall, but still these bands are going to continue to sit across our area. And one band comes, another one comes, and this is going to be the trend too, which is why the potential for flash flooding continues overnight tonight. And again, there's another look at the rain, another little band too developing in portions of Brunswick County. So crossing through Oak Island there, another one behind it moving through Wilmington, another one behind it there. And then, I mean, this just keeps going and going and going behind it. So we know band after band is what's expected overnight tonight. Not only that, now we have a tornado watch issued for all of our 5 main counties that's been extended down to southeast North Carolina. This is through Saturday at 7 a.m. So tomorrow through 7 a.m. a tornado watch will be in place. That means conditions will be favorable for a tornado to develop. This isn't imminent right now, but we've seen some bands previously. A larger band to the north of us that's working through the area has a history of producing a quick spin-up tornado, and that's what we're going to be keeping close eyes on moving forward through the overnight tonight. So again, a tornado watch now has been issued for all of our area. This lasts through Saturday, 7 a.m. So through the overnight hours into the morning hours, the potential for a tornado will be likely. So again, this is just a watch for right now. A tornado warning could come out, and if it does, we'll send it right over here to us in the Weather Center. We'll look at active warnings right now. Again, this is to that band to the north of us. This tornado warning issued for Craven, Duplin, Jones, Lenore, Onslow counties through midnight. This is stating that a severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado located over 12 miles southwest of New Point, and then this is moving in northwest at 30 miles per hour. So kind of following that band as these continue to wrap around the area. So we've talked about rainfall. Some folks already picking up close to a foot, expecting 10, possibly 15. You know, this model's showing us close to 20 inches of rain expected through the overnight hours. This is moving all the way through Sunday afternoon. So again, significant, possibly catastrophic flooding Saturday into your Sunday. So again, this not letting up on us at all. The reason why is because this is just such a slow moving storm. It's just going to sit and continually produce significant amounts of rainfall. And again, this is kind of what we've been saying in the coming days before this has arrived, that flooding is going to be a main problem moving forward. We forecasted around 10 to 24 inches, with some spots hitting locally higher amounts of that, and that's kind of what's setting up right now. And again, that storm surge on the east side of the storm right now is kind of giving us an onshore flow. So not only east-facing beaches, but south-facing beaches could be looking at some more storm surge tonight. Also, inland areas looking at some storm surge. Freshwater flooding is going to be an issue. Again, winds starting to settle down just a little bit. I don't want to say it's gone because we'll continue to see some strong wind gusts. But again, lots to monitor tonight, guys. Again, a tornado watch issued for our area till 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. That means the potential for a tornado is possible moving through overnight. And again, the band that's moving in has a history of producing a tornado. So we'll keep keeping close eyes on that. I'm going to toss it back to you guys. I think Eric's going to get set up for the next hit, and we'll keep close eyes on the radar for now.
All right, thanks so much. We've got more video that we'd like to share with you now. Video that shows flooding from all over eastern North Carolina. Do we not have that video? We do. Wow, look at that. Yeah,
this is some of the video we saw earlier. And the interesting thing is you look at the radar that Kelly continues to show us. These areas like New Bern here, where the New York City Urban Search and Rescue Team is located, they're still getting rain after a day and a half, almost 2 days of showers and bands of this storm.
We do want to point out, though, this was taken earlier.
Yeah,
that video was.
Yeah, and you know, even more rain is falling on top of what we're already seeing here, and we're hearing that some 200 people have been rescued in the New Bern community, and all kinds of areas in Craven County and in Carteret County and in Onslow County. It's just, you don't know how much more that area can take, because the water just has nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, and then the thought that more water is to come is really, really disturbing. Alex Giles, who once worked at WECT, who's now with WBTV in Charlotte, our sister station, has been covering this storm extensively. Gabby Williams is in the digital studio now on the phone with Alex Giles.
Hey guys, you're exactly right. I do have Alex Giles, as you just said. He used to work here at WECT. He's back in Wilmington. He is covering the storm. He's been out in the conditions for days now. Hey Alex, how are you doing?
Doing well. A little wet, but that is to be expected of a situation such as the one that everybody is facing right now in the Carolinas.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I'm having a volume issue. Okay. So when did you get down? You got down here Thursday?
We came down, actually, I think Tuesday is when we got here, Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, we wanted to get here a couple days ahead of the storm, just make sure that we were in place, and then, do a couple of stories every day about preparations and how folks down here were getting ready for it, especially because we knew that there's a very, very, very strong chance it would be impacting folks in our neck of the woods up in Charlotte. So we knew a lot of people would have a lot of interest in it, as it is with all big storm stories. So we wanted to get down here pretty early for it.
Yeah, and we appreciate you. I mean, we've been getting some stuff from you. We've gotten some of your reports, and I'm sure WBTV has appreciated all the content you've produced as well. But can you tell us some of the things that you've seen, some things that because I know you grew up in this area, so some things that you've probably never have seen before that you've seen in the past couple of days.
No, it is always wild to see Wilmington in the state like it's in right now. In high school, or I should say college, during the summers, I used to actually work on Wrightsville Beach, so I'm used to always seeing it in a pretty nice setting. And then whenever it gets like this, and you see all the just the darkness and all the destruction, so to say, it's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I know it's not good, for the city, but they always bounce back whenever something like this happens historically. So I know they'll do the same this time. I can tell you though, earlier today, just trying to get back from the riverfront to our hotel. Last night we were able to just fly straight up Market Street. Our hotel is off New Center Drive, which is right off Market. And last night we were able to just cruise down Market, even though the wind and the rain had started. But today, it took us forever. I don't know if you guys have had anybody out going through some of the downtown portions of Wilmington, but there are trees down just everywhere. And like each and every turn you tried to take, there was a big tree across the road, and we ended up having to reroute several times, trying to get back to just back to our hotel. And it just had me thinking, this is going to take a long time to clean up.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yeah, we've gotten several calls into the station and messages saying, hey, I have a tree down in my yard, I have a tree down in my yard. That's just how it is everywhere. It's crazy to think about that. Even here at the studios, we have a couple of trees down surrounding us. So it's crazy to see Wilmington in this state. And, we have to remind people it's not quite over yet. We are supposed to get rain for a couple more days. So that's just something to keep in mind, that it might look like this now, but who knows what it's going to look like by Monday morning.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And, folks just need to be very, very careful. I know I mentioned actually tonight that, I'm sure as you guys have said, that Wilmington's got like a curfew in place now. And this is just not weather where you want to be out and about. I'm sure you guys are really stressing that, but it's so important to say.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Alex, thank you so much for talking with us, and I hope that you stay safe. And are you going to be here for a couple more days?
Yes, I think we are staying at least through Monday. But thank you for the well wishes, and I hope all you guys stay safe as well.
All right, we'll appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. And that was Alex Giles. He's a WBTV reporter in Charlotte, North Carolina. But as I said earlier, I'm going to keep my eye on the power outages, keep my eye on social media, and I'm going to keep my eye on the WECT Community Voice page. You've gotten some good content coming in there. You guys showing us your pictures of damage and everything. And we just like to show that to give people perspective, because a lot of people have evacuated and they might be wondering what it looks like back home. So I'm going to continue to look for things like that to show you.
And for those who are not familiar with what we're talking about, if you go to Facebook and you go to WECT Community Voice, join that page. We'll accept your membership right away, and then you can start sharing pictures, video. If you want to make a comment, you can do that. If you want to ask a question, you can do that. We may answer that question for you. It may be someone in the community that answers it for us.
And I actually just looked at the numbers, and we have over 7,000 members right now.
That's incredible.
So there's so many people there to answer your questions and help with that.
It's been a great vehicle during the course of this storm for us to communicate with the community.
Exploded our content. Yeah, it really truly has. And one of the things, Gabby, you said you were going to keep an eye out on the outages. I guess it was a couple of hours ago, the last I saw outage-wise was almost 800,000 people in North Carolina. That has probably gone up now with these bans continuing to circle in. But the last numbers I saw was almost 800,000 people in North Carolina without power. Now, there may be some in South Carolina as well, but that's a staggering number of people without electricity.
Right now in just New Hanover County, it's 113,000, and there's only, this as far as Duke outages go, it's 113,000. There's only 127 customers. So that just kind of gives you perspective on that. But of course, I'm going to keep my eye on that. And Governor Cooper, during a press conference yesterday, he said that 500,000 people, and I guess together in the Carolinas, are out of power. And he says he does expect that number to rise.
Oh yeah, well, Duke Energy a couple of days ago, they had a news release and a news conference about what they were doing to try to proactively station crews around what were anticipated to be the hardest hit areas. And they anticipated between 1 and 3 million people being out of power. Now that could be at some point. You're just telling me that that your husband Joe had lost power up in Wake County and just got power back tonight. So that could be a cumulative running total. But they're expecting massive and widespread outages over North and South Carolina. And they said it would be measured and it would be weeks, not days, before people get power back.
One of those things we take for granted until we lose it, and then you realize how important it really is, especially in the summertime when it's warm and you have no AC, or in the wintertime when it's cold and you have no heat. It's just, that's one of the casualties of the storm like this. I mean, there are going to be people without power, and they won't have it for quite some time.
Right. I'm going to get this chair again. I'm standing up.
You need to sit down now?
I need to sit back down again, Been a long time. All right, I'm fine. See, you're kind of looking up there. I was like, I should make her look up. Let's sit back down with her. Talking about power lines, our crew down there in Brunswick County, Casey Roman and Ben Smart and Alex Garino and Caroline Burkhardt, seeing all these kind of power lines with trees on them, with branches on them. This video Casey Roman sent to us before, earlier this evening before it got dark, and just showing some of the reasons why it's just not safe to be out there and driving or walking or out looking at anything at this point in time.
And we have more video that we're going to show you now from Charlotte, I do believe. Yeah, we have some. Okay, all right, so we've seen this video quite a bit within the past 15 minutes. So let's move from this video to Alex in Charlotte.
Really intense conditions out here in Charlotte. We're outside of a restaurant that overlooks the Charlotte River. On any other day, this is a calm river. Of course, the concern here that river will breach and things will flood. We have debris flying all over. On the drive-in, we saw trees down through the roots. Lots of debris, lots of damage. Power's out pretty much everywhere in Brunswick County as of tonight, and we are still expecting rain for days, and that's really the concern here now. We're told that the worst of the winds are likely behind us, but the real concern inland here is the river flooding. Reporting for the Raycom News Network, I'm Alex Garino.
Thousands of people in our region are waiting out the storm in local shelters. WECT's Bill Murray caught up with one couple waiting it out on their boat.
Yeah, they're trying to use the experience to blog updates. Actually, we're not going to do that story now. Okay, we're going to do the video of the damage to the Brooklyn Arts Center. We received these pictures from our friend Damian Brzezinski, cardiologist in town, who is a friend to many of us here at the station, sending us some video of the damage the storm has done to the historic Brooklyn Arts Center building downtown.
Yeah, and we were just talking about this a few minutes ago, that there's so much of the Brooklyn Arts Center that is damaged now that can't be replaced.
Right.
I mean, you can do replicas, and hopefully they will do that, but it's devastating to watch that because so many weddings, so many receptions. Right. It's a great venue. It's going to take a while to get Brooklyn Arts Center back where it should be.
All right, about 350 people have been rescued in New Bern so far since the storm hit. We have some video of swiftwater rescue teams being out and about in that community in Craven County. These are the men and women brought into the area to try to find trapped residents overnight. And they were tweeting out in New Bern. Officials sent out tweets saying, you know, we're coming to get you. You may need to move up to the second story or the attic of your home, but we are coming to get you. The rescued people in that New Bern community are now in a shelter, but these experts in swiftwater rescue brought in specifically because many of these areas knew that water rescues would be a necessity, and they've used their talents and skills to save many lives. Well,
Marissa Hunley saw this, not that exact vehicle, something very similar to that here in Wilmington, and it too was a swiftwater rescue team. She saw the boat on the vehicle. To our knowledge, it has not been used in this area, but here in case we need it, because as we have been told, more water is on the way. For the latest on that, let's go to Eric.
Yeah, I'm afraid a lot more water's on the way, unfortunately, and if we need to, as if we don't need another threat we've got to throw into the mix now, the possibility of tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center issuing a National Weather Service local office issuing a tornado watch. Basically, that means conditions are favorable for the development of those quick tornadoes. We talked about those quick spin-up tornadoes. And to our north, particularly Onslow County northward up, we've been seeing some rotating storms tonight, and that's why the tornado watch has been issued. These rain bands that have been pushing into places like Morehead City are going to start to shift southward here in the coming hours, and we do think the risk is going to be on the increase, so that is another danger that we're going to need to be on the watch out for. I don't see anything imminent right now, at least in the next hour or two, probably here in our immediate area, but the danger is definitely going to increase here as we head through the hours ahead. Let's go ahead and take a look at the current tornado warnings. There is a warning right now which encompasses northern portions of Onslow County. That tornado warning in effect until midnight tonight against those feeder bands moving onto the coast or up around Onslow County, and those storms rotating right now. Of course, that's only one of the dangers. The storms are also producing tremendous amounts of rainfall. We have some pretty strong feeder bands here in southeastern North Carolina, but they're nothing compared to the ones that we're seeing further to the north. These ones that are producing the tornado warnings also producing as much as 2, 3, 4 inches of rain per hour. Just incredible amounts of tropical moisture coming down for areas off to our north. And unfortunately, as the center of the storm, in fact, usually a good guy with the storm has been whatever happens to the north works its way to the south. I think the same principle is going to apply tonight. The tornado threat, which has been a little bit further to our north, is going to shift right into our area here as we head through the next couple of hours, in addition to the heavy rainfall. Speaking of heavy rainfall, of course, shifting gears more to river flooding. That's going to be a story in the days ahead, but it's already a story right now along the Cape Fear River in Wilmington. Remember, this is a tidal river, so we have high tides and low tides. The river's always fluctuating in height, but around 3 o'clock this afternoon, we saw a crest of 8.25 feet, and that is significant because it breaks the record that we saw just 2 years ago with Hurricane Matthew, 8.17 inches, which broke the record of Hurricane Hazel. Remember, Hurricane Hazel, usually the benchmark storm when we're talking about destruction here in southeastern North Carolina. So once again, for the second time in only 3 years, we have topped Hurricane Hazel's record with a new record, 8.25 feet. Now the river's in the river's in the process of dropping a little bit right now, but it will be coming up here again within the next 3 or 4 hours. So we're probably going to see some more river flooding returning probably just in the next hour or two, with the crest again around 3 o'clock in the morning. We don't think this crest will be quite as high, or at least it's not projected to be quite as high, but obviously the water will be flowing into downtown Wilmington. The water on the other side of the river flowing into Battleship Park, and then it's going to repeat again 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That is the high tide once again for tomorrow afternoon. This one projected to be around 7.6 feet. Still, that is very significant flooding, and right on through the weekend the tidal flooding is going to be occurring. So downtown Wilmington, especially around high tides, will be getting wet. Same thing, Battleship Park over on the other side of the river. Got the latest numbers on the rivers. Had a chance to finally look those up. Northeast Cape Fear River in Burgaw, current stage has come up a little bit, but only 4.9 feet, so we're a long way from that flood stage of 16 feet. But unfortunately, we're going to get there, and we're likely to get there in a big-time hurry. 25.7 feet, still the forecast crest. That would also be a record, exceeding Floyd, exceeding Hurricane Matthew. Probably going to get there as early as Monday, too. So, again, just not a good situation. So, we're still at low impacts right now because the river's still well above flood stage. But make no mistake about it, we will be at major impacts. And we've told you all the reasons why. But we're going to be throwing 15, 20, maybe even 25 inches of rain down across a large chunk of southeastern North Carolina. And, of course, then that's basically the analogy, the overflowing bathtub. Then, of course, we got the storm surge. That's coming into it's going to continue to come in all weekend into Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, and that storm surge will work its way up its estuaries, up bodies of water, and it's going to block up the river. So you're going to put a block on an overflowing bathtub, and the water is going to actually end up spilling into other parts of the area as well. So that's the principle. Same principle applies as well. Lumber River in Lumberton, 24.3 feet, the forecast crest. That is more than 10 feet. It's actually about 11.3 feet above where we normally would be. So minor impacts right now, but major impacts expected as we head through the coming days. All right, well, looks like our radar is kind of going in and out on us. May have just gone out on us again right now, but you get the general idea. You can see the feeder bands once again, northern New Hanover County up into along Highway 421 in Pender County, and then extends back into portions of southern Sampson, northern portions of Bladen County. I've been watching this rain band very closely, at least at the moment. It's not showing any, we're not really seeing any signs that there's any rotation with this particular rain band, but there's been lots of rotation in this rain band up here. And this is the proof right here. This is what we call our shear proc, not something I show on air very often, but the map indicates, the blue is indicating generally weaker shear, and then as you start getting into the purple colors, that indicates very strong shear. Notice there's really no shear in this rain band over Pender County, New Hanover County, up into Bladen County. So probably, at least at the moment, not a lot of real high chance that we would see a tornado warning, at least in the near term. But you notice the blues popping up here as you get into Onslow County. You can see the tornado warning. We have a tornado warning right here, another tornado warning right here. This is the shear that we've been talking about, and it's really starting to show up on that strong rain band. And remember, what happens to the north eventually is going to push its way to the south. Remember, the now tropical storm, thankfully, now moving off to the southwest. So these feeder bands, which are so strong, those 2, 3, 4 inch feeder bands, I'm afraid what's probably going to begin to happen is they're going to start to funnel southward, and we're going to start to see them set up over southeastern North Carolina, and that's why we've got another long day ahead. No, we will not deal with hurricane force winds tomorrow, but we're going to deal with a tremendous amount of rain as those tropical feeder bands continue to feed into the area. That storm surge will continue to pummel the coast, and I'm afraid the flooding situation over the weekend, I'm afraid, is probably likely to get a lot worse. So again, as we zoom on in here, of course, we don't have the Doppler just kicked out on us, so we won't highlight too much, but basically the feeder band continues in these areas right here, White Oak, White Lake, and then down into the Harrells area in Sampson County. And you can see that a little further to the north, we actually have a tornado warning in effect. That's the tornado warning in northern Onslow County. And of course, that one's moving, most of the activity tonight, kind of moving off to the west. But that tornado is not really headed, at least in our general direction. Hour by hour forecast model. The center of the storm is now over South Carolina, but only slowly lumbering to the west throughout the day tomorrow. Look at that, 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. This is what I was afraid of, that those heavy feeder bands that we've been talking about setting up over Morehead City, Newport, places like that. It's over 23 inches of rain. Unfortunately, those feeder bands are going to sag right on into our area, sagging to the south. And you would hope we would get into Sunday. You would think by Sunday. Sunday's what? Sunday morning, about 36 hours from now. you would think we would see significant improvement. Where's the storm at that time? Well, it looks like the center of the storm probably somewhere, we'll call it around Columbia, maybe a little bit west of Columbia. But Sunday morning, look at that. We still have these feeder bands. They're continuing to bring band after band after band of tropical moisture. So it's not hard to imagine when you're talking about 1, 2, 3, maybe even at times 4-inch rainfall rates per hour constantly, not constantly, but at least off and on moving through the area. It's not hard to imagine that some spots are going to pick up another 10, 15, possibly even as much as 20 inches of rain. It's not out of the question here as we head through Sunday. Finally, there are some indications. Maybe by Sunday afternoon, we start to get that center of the storm a little bit further to the west. Still a couple tropical feeder bands. Even Sunday afternoon, the event's not completely over, but there are some signs that maybe we start to shut off the tropical flow a little bit here as we head towards Sunday afternoon. We start to see some slow improvement, but we're probably still going to see some rotation with some of these bands coming into the coast. So probably even into Sunday and maybe even potentially into the early part of next week, we're still going to be talking about that tornado threat sticking around. And you can see that hopefully as we head into Monday, we'll finally see some significant improvement. All right, let's talk about the 7-day forecast. When are we finally going to see things improve? Here's how we see things right now. Florence's full impacts tomorrow. It is not going to be a day. Tomorrow is not the day to come home if you're talking about evacuees. Don't even think about it. There's debris on the road. We've got massive flooding that's going to be going on tomorrow. Wouldn't even want to think about it. You probably don't even want to think about it on Sunday either, unfortunately, because showers and thunderstorms will continue. And remember, particularly early in the week, the river flooding is getting worse during this time frame. 85 with some scattered thunderstorms on Monday. And then as we head into next week, we still watch for that major river flooding, maybe occurring a good chunk of next week, even as the actual weather finally does begin to improve. By Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, mostly sunny skies, mid-70s for highs, and overnight lows in the 70s. And it is my pleasure now to welcome Bill and Kim.
All right, we have officially switched over once again for you so that Fran and John can go get some rest. Kim Ratcliffe and Bill Murray here will be working with Kelly and Eric for the next couple of hours, and then Gannon and Gabe will rotate in. So we're going to keep getting you up to speed with exactly what's going on. It's been a challenging night for a lot of folks out there. A lot of things have happened.
But look at the clock. What does that mean?
It means it's officially Saturday.
A new day.
It's a new day. Right, exactly.
Exactly. It's in the rearview mirror for a lot of us. Just some of what's in the rearview mirror. We got a lot of work ahead, that's for sure, obviously. But to kind of keep you up to speed as to what's happening here at the station, we were evacuated just like thousands of other people sitting at home doing the exact same thing. And we're kind of gathering our thoughts and our stuff, and we're back
trying to regroup everybody.
Regroup a little bit. And so if it's a little rocky road, kind of remember that over the next couple of hours. We're doing the best that we can. We have Gabby Williams, who is in the digital studio now this morning. Good morning, Gabby, to you.
Hey guys, good morning. I've been here for about an hour now. Keep my eye on the outages. I know that's still a big question for folks, especially on our WECT Community Voice page. But I do want to show you what the maps look like right now. I know a lot of you, as the numbers show, do not have power. So let's just take a look. I've seen a little bit more red than we did yesterday, but there's 113,000 people without power right now in New Hanover County. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, there's only 127 customers for Duke Energy. So nearly everybody in New Hanover County who has Duke Power does not have it right now. And I know if you're listening on your laptop or on your phone, so then you probably know that already, that there's a lot of people without power. But I do want to show you, this is for County Electric membership, and there's still a lot of people without power. I'm not going to say every number because that's a lot, but you can just see all of these little dots are people without power, and same for Brunswick Electric. All of this, people without power, so it's Brunswick, Columbus, Bladen. So just a little perspective on those who are without power. We are on a backup generator here. I know all the homes surrounding the station here on Shipyard Boulevard are without power. But I've also been keeping an eye on social media, the WECT Community Voice page, Twitter. So I'm going to show you a couple of things from there. This is Governor Roy Cooper tweeted out a little bit ago. It's a video he did with North Carolina Emergency Management. So I'm going to show you guys this. It's about a minute and a half long, but I thought it would be pretty cool to show what the governor has posted. Let's see if it'll load. This computer's being a little slow.
Carolina.
Hold on a second.
The North Carolina Emergency Management Special Operations Center. You are the heartbeat of North Carolina safety, rescue, and recovery. You are helping those people right now who are sitting in shelters, wondering whether they even have a home to go back to. You are helping to coordinate those first responders who are right this very minute risking their lives to save others. You are coordinating all of this. Our local, our state, our federal partners, people from private industry, people from the nonprofit and faith sector, you are here working in a coordinated way to make it happen. People of North Carolina really don't even know about you and what you're doing. But I'm telling them, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you because this is a team. And I think together we will make it happen. Thank you on behalf of all of the people of North Carolina because I'm working for them and you're working for them. Thank you.
All right, Gabby needs to turn her microphone back on and then.
Sorry. Sorry.
We've all done it.
I forget that I control that myself. Control a lot of things in here, but I was just saying that it does give you some perspective on how our leaders, our state leaders, are working to eventually help us with as far as recovery. I know cleaning up, we've gotten several calls about trees being down and people asking when can that be fixed. You know, it's going to take some time. I know that Fran and John touched on that a little bit earlier, but I just thought I would show that. And I am keeping my eye on other things on social media. Our email, we've gotten several emails and messages on Facebook with videos and pictures of damage. So of course I'll be tracking that throughout the night, throughout the morning. So just be sure to stick with us. But I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Gabby, thanks very much.
Gabby, while it's interesting to see that the federal government and the state government doing something to kind of make sure that we're all getting through this together, I wanted to bring Gabby back if it's at all possible, because the great thing about this is this community forum page that we've got set up is showing that people are doing this neighbor by neighbor in their own neighborhood to be able to see this very same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got over, I looked at about 11:30, and at 11:30 we had over 7,000 members. And this time yesterday we had, I think, about 4,000. So it just shows you people are joining the group. They are helping answer questions. They are posting. It's a really, really good outlet. It's helped us a lot, be able to show other folks, because we've had several calls like, have I evacuated? Can you go by my house, or can you go by my road, my neighborhood, and see what it looks like? And you know, we can't drive by every house, we can't drive by every neighborhood, but this can kind of show you just an idea of what the area you live in looks like right now.
I know, Gabby, we've gotten a lot of questions about road conditions and folks, you know, wanting to know about that. I know the state's got a website if you want to check that out. Maybe we'll check back in with you in a little bit just to see what the state's reporting, and that way at least if people know, obviously we don't want them on the roads right now, but if that is a resource for them to use at some point in time when they can start to come back into town. And we'll let you look that up, and we can check back with you in a couple minutes.
Yeah, we're going to find out in a few seconds. We don't want people coming back into town ASAP because there's a long road ahead. You know, and people are somewhat frustrated that, oh, could you please check on my neighborhood, my street? You have to keep in mind that we've got 36 people here. We haven't been able to check on our own homes and streets to be able necessarily to find out.
And I just saw, actually, just minutes ago before I came on here, someone was like, I'm out of town. Is 40 open? Can I come back home? I want to come back home. And I've seen people post, people have been commenting, no, do not come home yet. This isn't over. We're expecting rain. Strong winds are still in the forecast. So just keep that in mind. Don't be in a hurry to come home. Stick where you are for a little bit. This is what we're doing. This is our job. You know, we're here to let you know what's going on here so you can come back safely.
And Governor Cooper and the folks that we just saw at the Emergency Operations Center have been holding news conferences and press briefings, you know, on a pretty regular basis. And they tend to try to cover as much of that as they possibly can, because they've got so many different officials right there at the EOC in Raleigh. So, all right, thanks, Gabby. We'll check back in with you in a couple of minutes. Bill mentioned we did have to evacuate, and I can tell you, just driving a few blocks down the road here, it was bad. There's a lot of tree limbs down in the road, puddles, especially when it's so dark outside.
You don't
So
realize
right
how
now,
dark it really is until
you
you're driving the roads
see
going.
nothing, and
Roads you drive by every single day going, where do I turn now? I cannot see, and that's what it's been like outside, so you have to worry about that debris in the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it is a new day, not the dawn of a new day just yet. We've got about 6 more hours until that happens, but maybe that'll put a smile on some folks' face. We have to wait and see. Kelly McGlynn's going to join us now with the weather, because we're not out of the woods yet. In fact, we're going to see rain for quite some time, correct?
Is this the backside that we're still dealing with, I guess? The backside?
Yeah, just getting on the east side of that storm.
Okay.
Yeah, the center of the storm, there's not really an eye anymore. At the 11 o'clock advisory, here are the latest stats. It's still Tropical Storm Florence. Winds right now at around 65 miles per hour. So even though that has decreased, this speed, which is what we've been really focusing in on, is because this has been moving at around 3 miles per hour to the west-southwest. So with that being said, such a slow-moving storm, this really isn't making any movement. It's not letting up on the rain anymore than it has been. We've already seen significant amounts of rainfall in some backyards, and now we're starting to see those wraparound bands, those outer tropical bands just dumping continuous amounts of rainfall, mostly on the same places. So if you're caught in one of those bands, I mean, you're just going to continue to see moderate to heavy rainfall. That blind shearing tropical rain just falling down continuously. And not only do we have one band, there's 2 bands, 3 bands. I mean, this just continues to go further up to the north and east of us, and this is going to continue to work towards the west-southwest. So we're going to have a few rounds of some pretty heavy rainfall too. We'll talk about that a little bit more coming up localized, but here's the latest forecast track for Florence. Not too much changing again from the 11 p.m. advisory. Continued to move west, southwest, and then eventually going to make a turn towards the north and northeast as a remnant low. Regardless, though, we're still going to have at least another 24 to possibly 48 hours of significant rainfall, flooding. I mean, we'll talk about how many inches some backyards have seen coming up and how much more we are expecting throughout the time period. But we have been having some trouble with our radar kind of cutting in and out. So we're doing our best to show you the latest information. But here's our Carolina radar right now. You can really see how big this storm is, and now how these bands continuing to just wrap around one after another. We'll get a closer look in to see your southeast North Carolina radar. One heavy band here moving through still the central and northern parts of Bladen County, central portions of Pender County, New Hanover County, you're under this band right now too. And notice how it just continues to stream in the same direction, dumping lots and lots of rainfall in the same spot for a continuous amount of time. But not only this rain band here, there's another little one moving through portions of Brunswick County, coming up through Oak Island, and an even larger band behind the one that's impacting, Wilmington, Burgaw, Elizabethtown area. Behind that band, north of Jacksonville, Onslow County there, that has a history of producing some quick spin-up tornadoes, and that's the threat we have to continue with overnight tonight as well. Here are some estimated rainfall totals from our radar forecast here, our in-house model. Significant so far. This is from the past 36 hours, already seen close to a foot, even more than a foot in some spots there. Just north of Oak Island, this bright yellow color here, picking up more than 12.5 inches of rainfall. That's more than a foot already. Most spots here really just seeing a range between, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches. Locally, further inland, so Bladen County getting in around 2 to 4 inches, but still that's significant rainfall continuing to what we're going to see on top of all of this. So with the ground already very saturated, that leads to trees uprooting, that leads to more power outages coming. And again, once I show you the graphic of how much rainfall to expect, even more, I mean, we're looking at some significant, even catastrophic, life-threatening flooding. And that's kind of the scenario they had north of us too earlier tonight with a flash flood emergency. So again, there's your Doppler radar. Seeing actually a few lightning strikes in those storms, which really isn't uncommon, but you can see a few lightning strikes there with some of those, little supercells that are spinning up some tornadoes there. Other than that, there was a tornado watch to our north that has now extended down to our 5 main counties. So There's now a tornado watch issued for Bladen, Pender, New Hanover, Brunswick, and Columbus County. This lasts through 7 a.m. Saturday morning. So what a tornado watch means is that conditions are favorable for a tornado to spin up quick. And usually in these tropical bands, it's just a quick spin up tornado. It's not something that's, too destructive in these wide tropical bands. It's common too on the east side of the storm. We see some rotation and then it's gone the next scan. So this is something we're going to be watching closely, monitoring too. We have our National Weather Service chat here with our folks in Wilmington that we can communicate with. But again, our radar did go out, so we're doing the best we can to keep that localized for you. Otherwise, we'll take a look at tornado warnings now. Again, still one to the north of us here. This lasts till 12:45 a.m. and this is for Craven, Jones, Onslow County, Carteret County till 12:45 a.m. The latest observations with this tornado warning is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located around 15 miles southwest of Newport. Again, this is moving northwest at 50 miles per hour. So when you think northwest, this is generally moving in the direction that those bands are moving. So that's going to be the trend too once this slowly sinks down into our area. So it's going to continue to move generally in a west-southwesterly direction, just as the same way Florence is moving in our area. So if we do have any tornado warnings that come out, guys, will come right straight to us. But until then, we'll continue to watch radar very closely, and anything that I can answer, any questions that you guys can think of, we'll talk about that too.
Well, I do have a quick question for you. We knew this was going to stall. We knew that for days before we had landfall, and there were times during our shift yesterday it went from 6 miles an hour to 3 miles an hour.
I know. Now it's at 5.
Okay, so it's gone up just a little bit.
Anything we'll take, I think, at this point.
Exactly.
But again, it's proof how slow this thing is going to be, and it's going to be sticking around for a while.
Exactly right.
There's just nothing coming from any other direction that will push it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Usually some steering currents in the upper atmosphere will, take it one way or another. In this case, there's nothing really to help move it one way or another. So in that case, it doesn't have anywhere to go, so it kind of just sits and generally just moves in a slow direction. And that's unfortunately, what we're seeing with this system.
If only collectively we could all 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, maybe that would do something. I think anything at this point would help.
How great would that be? All right,
I don't think I've ever seen one move so slowly either. Yeah. It's just incredible. But all right, at least we're on sort of the back end of it, so that that we see the light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, or
little bit. We still got
it.
Yeah, we still got a ways to go. I mean, since it's moving so slow and it's such a big storm too, I think at least 24, 36, 48 hours we'll have to continue to monitor this system.
All right, especially for those tornado watches and possible warnings for sure. All right, Kelly, thanks very much. All right, well, the brunt of Florence's winds being felt now by our neighbors to the south.
Yeah, because it's all going in that direction before it hooks up. Raycom's Abby O'Brien's got the very latest from Berkeley County now, South Carolina.
Very windy, very rainy here in Berkeley County, right near Lake Moultrie in Bono. You can see the waves here just whipping over the boat ramp. The National Weather Service in Charleston said they have seen tropical storm force winds coming off of the lake for several hours now, and it is certainly still very windy. This is right near the Watermark restaurant. There are some people out there getting some food and drink and coming out and taking some pictures and video of what this scene looks like. The Berkeley County Sheriff's Office has also been up here to, of course, make sure people are not in or near the water. I've also seen some fire crews out moving some tree limbs from trees that fell across the roads, mostly in neighborhoods, not on any main roads, but people here in Berkeley County certainly feeling the effects of what's left of this storm. Reporting in Berkeley County, Abby O'Brien for the Raycom News Network.
All right, we want to go back to Gabby Williams in the digital studio. She's got an update for us. What did you find?
Hey guys, Kim, I did look at, I was trying to look up road conditions from NCDOT, and unfortunately their website is down right now. I should know they have a lot going on, but I did, they have been tweeting, and I did look at some of their stuff on Twitter. Let me see if I can pull some stuff up for you. So hold on one second. Let's see. I just been kind of keeping track with a bunch of different tweets from officials. Earlier I showed a video from Roy Cooper, so I'm just trying to stay on top of what some folks are tweeting. Give it a second to load. So let's take a look at this. This is a tweet from NCDOT. Now you can't see the caption, but it says, "Here's a look behind the scenes at NCDOT. North Carolina Emergency Management, and NC National Guard are coordinating response efforts to Hurricane Florence. Teams like this are working around the clock to help keep North Carolinians informed and safe. Do your part and stay put. So this is something that we were just talking about. I can zoom in a little bit on this picture. Let's see. You can just give you an idea of, like, you've got all different folks in there. You can see they're working hard to get things back in shape. You know, Kelly just said it, we're not out of the clear yet. We've still got a little ways to go, and we know that the recovery efforts are going to take even longer. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just know that we just talked about stay put. There's no reason to be on the roads right now. Even if it does seem quiet for a little while, you don't know what you could run into as far as flooding and trees down. I can't count how many times someone has called, or we've seen posts, or our reporters out in the field. Like I just talked to Casey Roman a little bit ago. Trees are down everywhere. So it might look clear maybe where you are, but you could drive down the road a mile or two and see something different. I also do want to show you another photo from NCDOT. The caption here, it says, "To all of you, our neighbors, friends, and family, we're here for you, and we'll get through this together. North Carolina strong." So I thought that was nice. You can see the North Carolina flag hanging from the NCDOT truck. So I can't, it's hard to tell. I've been seeing photos of roads, but I'm not being able to get access to NCDOT's website at this moment. Of course, I'll keep trying for that to see exactly what roads are down, but I have been keeping an eye on Twitter and everything of that to see your pictures. Again, Community Voice, I know we've talked about it a million times, but that's just such a great place, a great outlet to post those kinds of things. Let the folks know who aren't here, who evacuated, what roads look like. I do have a video from the North Carolina Southern Coast sector. They said they're getting reports of impassable roads along the southern coast, so not just here in our area, but, you know, we've been talking about New Bern. New Bern got hit pretty hard. We know South Carolina as well. And again, they're urging you to stay off the roads. Do not drive around barricades through standing water. I say it all the time during my traffic hits on Carolina in the morning. Turn around, don't drown. It's not worth. You don't know how deep that water is. So let me show you this video. Hold on one second.
The impacts from Hurricane Florence are not over once the storm passes. In many areas in the Sandhills in southeastern North Carolina, will experience worse flooding than compared to Hurricane Matthew.
The heavy rainfall amounts could lead to flash flooding, and additionally, we will continue to experience flooding as creeks and rivers rise over the next few days to a week. Barricades and road closed signs are in place for a reason, to keep you and responders safe, so turn around and go another way. While a road may look safe, it could have underlying damage that you cannot see, making it unsafe to drive across. We urge you to stay put in a safe place and off the roads. Don't risk your life or others.
And remember, even when weather conditions improve, it does not mean that it's safe to travel on the roads. For real-time travel conditions, you can visit driveandc.gov.
Okay, so I thought that was just good to show because as I've said several times on our Community Voice page, I've seen lots of people ask, can someone go by here? Is my neighborhood clear? Can I drive here? Can I go here? Just stay put. I think the professionals, the state officials know best as far as conditions are like. You know, we have bodies out there. We have folks all over the area checking out things like that. And we just don't know what's to come as well. We have, Kelly's been talking about it, Eric and Gabe and Gannon and Jesselyn. There's more to come. So we're not out of the clear yet. Just because it looks clear now, that does not mean it's time to head home. But I'm going to continue to look for things like this, check up on officials' Facebook posts and see what's going on, what they're finding out. And of course, I'll bring you the latest from here in the digital studio.
All right, I found something else if you want to look this up, because we just got something, a post about animals being lost. You know, a lot of times they get spooked by the storms, and there is a great Facebook page called Lost and Found Pets of Wilmington. If you want to look that up, and we'll check back in with you and see what you find on that. Some people are actually posting now that they've lost their pets. So yeah, it's probably a great resource, which would work both ways for folks. So, all right, well, we'll check back in just a couple minutes then.
All right.
Hey, there are big stretches of Carolina Beach underwater, you know, because of the storm surge we've seen.
I saw a video of the pier being just smacked around. Yeah.
We've had crews out there all day. I want to remind people who are there or will be coming back, a boil water advisory has been issued now for customers in Carolina Beach when water is restored. Colin Hackman was out there earlier and he said, well, there was talk that they were turning off water and sewer. And then they didn't do it in Curie Beach. I know that for a fact, but I don't know for a fact what they did in Carolina Beach. But obviously people at the beach may experience periods of low pressure outages for the distribution center because of the storm. Losing pressure is a result of those power outages. So people should boil that water for a minute or two before using it, or use bottled water obviously, and that includes anything for like cooking, brushing your teeth, etc. We'll let you know when the testing is completed and service is restored to normal.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem probably in other places too. So if you actually notice low pressure where you are, your water may not be safe, but as soon as they get those advisories out to us, we will continue to pass them along to you as well. So, all right, going to take a look at some of the videos that we have found from different folks. Jackie Paget posted a photo to the WECT Facebook page. This is Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree in Leland in the same shopping center as Walmart.
Which I think is relatively new.
Is it? Yeah, and it looks like quite a bit of damage there.
Yeah, the front window just collapsing. Sharon Williams on the WECT Facebook page showing the damage to the roof, to the roof of Ruth's Kitchen. That's a restaurant on Market Street in the Ogden area there as well.
Oh wow, yeah, it looks like they completely lost their roof there.
And this is the video that's been capturing people from the very beginning of the force of those winds. This is the aftermath of that. We saw it blowing off, right?
Wow. Yeah, the Go Gas on Market Street near Ogden.
Yeah.
All right, some of the video we were talking about to the Carolina Beach Pier, it went through kind of two phases. Yesterday morning, it was getting slammed, and this is later in the day, just getting hit with very strong waves. Remember, this was, I think, probably around high tide.
Right.
Which was just, what, a few hours ago or 12 hours ago?
I think it was 11 o'clock. Well, we'll
Maybe
be in another cycle, so they could be going well through high tide right now, actually, right?
Yeah. So Carolina
We got
Beach.
some video from Fayetteville, I think, of them cleaning up. This is from our affiliate, WRAL in Raleigh.
Large tree limbs down there.
Big mess there. So, again, showing the scope of this storm. It's just devastation really everywhere.
All right, we're going to hear now from Alex Giles of WBTV in Charlotte. He's actually a former WECT reporter. As you know, reporters have come in from all over the state and all over the country to report on everything that's happening here. But Alex Giles has this report, including the tragic story of a mother and a child killed when a tree fell on their house.
As evening set in Friday, Florence's winds continued to whip the port city. The storm has been hitting Wilmington hard with the elements since making landfall Friday morning. Near the Intracoastal Waterway by Wrightsville Beach, storm surge had water running onto the mainland, but locals say it looks better than expected.
I think we got lucky. You know, the high tide, the earlier cycle would have been a lot worse for us. It's a lot better than what they said it would have been, but I believe that now I think we can just ride this out and we'd be safe.
It didn't take long for waters of the Cape Fear River to flow over onto Water Street in downtown Wilmington.
We have at least knee-deep water, which is totally different just a couple hours. It's crazy how drastic the change is.
There was plenty of storm damage throughout the area. A gas station found ripped apart. Across town, a partner at the Oceanside Motor Company was quick to check out his own business.
Lost the awning, our signs down. I haven't looked at any of the cars yet, but overall I think we're pretty lucky.
Others weren't as fortunate. The downtown sector saw plenty of trees uprooted, some causing serious damage.
You know, they print them and they take care of them, but this is, you know, they're 200 years old. Some of them are older than that.
And one of the most devastating moments yet from Florence, a mother and infant killed after a tree came crashing through this Wilmington home. Firefighters knelt in prayer after trying to save their lives.
Oh God, that had to have been just heartbreaking.
Very sad.
We heard that when it first came out several hours ago, and I think everybody wants to rush there. You know, you want to rush and try to do whatever you possibly can, and it's just a sad reality of the water that we're seeing and the flooding that we're seeing.
There are a lot of people identifying with that, saying, you know, that could have been me and my family. It
could have been anybody.
It could have been anybody.
I know.
And I think the latest total now, 5 people from this storm have passed away. Hopefully that's the end.
And 3 of them are from West Brunswick High School, the shelter there. A person died, and then the 2 here. So 3 of them are right here in southeastern North Carolina.
They died as a result of the storm?
It
or they
doesn't.
just,
We don't know. We do not know. We just know that somebody died in